you, and everybody, welcome. Welcome to a beautiful day in the Bronx. More interleague baseball, more of the Subway Series, the Mets and the Yankees. The first place New York Yankees, a game and a half up on the Boston Red Sox. They are rolling, winners of 9 in a row and 12 of their last 14 games. And now welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck along with my partner Tim McCarver as we look ahead to the All-Star game on Tuesday night. We play baseball here on a Saturday, and we watch the red-hot New York Yankees, hot because of their lineup, and in particular, the middle three guys.
The Yankees and the Mets going in opposite directions. The Yankees going straight up, and the Mets are going straight down. First, why are the Yankees as hot as they are? Well, just like the OK Corral, all guns are firing. Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Jorge Posada right in the middle of that order. If you can digest those numbers, they have been on fire, the whole lineup, over the last couple of weeks.
Never has the disparity been greater between these two teams when they have met in interleague play. We look ahead to the All-Star game and highlight some of the All-Stars that will be representing these New York teams, from Clemens to Piazza on down a very, very long list. It's baseball on a Saturday, and it's yours next on Fox. It's a gorgeous day in the Bronx. Good day for a flyby during the Star-Spangled Banner. U.S. Navy F-14 Tomcats zooming past overhead and down below. The Yankees take the field, the red-hot Yankees, and today led to the field by their starter, Mike Messina, who is 4-0 in his last 4 decisions. And let's look at the starting lineup for the New York Mets. They'll lead it off with Joe McEwing, who's been hot. Desi Relaford, it's hard to get him out of the lineup, and he's in the lineup because of an injury suffered last night by Robin Ventura. Edgardo Alfonzo is back in the lineup at second base. Mike Piazza, the DH, he homered last night in his first game back from the broken toe 1 Friday ago. Then it's Mark Johnson in right, Todd Zeile at first, Jay Payton in center. Todd Pratt is batting 8th. He does the catching, and Ray Ordonez hitting .227, batting ninth. The defense for the New York Yankees, not too good. 13th in the American League in fielding percentage, 62 errors as a group. And that's surprising to see Scott Brocious with 17 errors, but Tim McCarver says, don't be fooled into thinking that his skills are slipping over at third base.
That's right. He's got a few more errors this year than he had last year for the full year. But Scott Brocious is still considered by many, me included, as one of the fine third basemen in the game. Speaking of one of the finer in the game, Mike Messina, 9-7, as Joe said, 4-0 in his last 4 decisions. And obviously, when you're facing a pitcher, you want to get him into his stretch, because that means you've got guys on base. So wind up, yes; stretch, no. The numbers on Messina from the stretch are poor. With runners on base, the hitters have a .313 average, and the reason for that, he can't throw the knuckle curve and the knuckle change as effectively as he can from the windup.
Why don't you read this today?
All right. This broadcast is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television.
You might get to do that at the All-Star game.
Oh, I can't wait.
McEwing, Relaford, and Alfonzo in the first inning for the Mets, who, ladies and gentlemen, represented the National League in the World Series last year, and they trail the Montreal Expos in the NL Eastern Division. They're in last place. First pitch of the day is a strike on the outside corner. You look at this Mets lineup, and Bobby Valentine is more than happy these days to write in the name of Joe McEwing. Heck, he's happy to write in Relaford's name. A couple of guys who at least give this Mets lineup some jolt, some sign of life.
Animation.
Here's the 0-1 from Messina. Ball and a strike. McEwing, since the 1st of June, is hitting .375. He has a 9-game hitting streak. He had a 25-game hitting streak in '99 as a rookie with St. Louis. And that's when the fans in St. Louis fell in love with Super Joe, and he got his nickname. Ball and a strike. Ball and 2 strikes. Mike Piazza, we'll talk about it during the course of today's game. trying to fight his way back into the lineup for the Mets, trying to fight his way back behind the plate tomorrow for the Mets, and trying to fight his way into the starting lineup on Tuesday for the National League. Batter number 1 is out number 1. McEwing, goodbye.
That's the knuckle curveball from Mike Mussina disappearing on Joe McEwing. Ball starting at the knees, out of the strike zone. And again, Mussina, with the windup, needs that high leg kick like that to get the good break on the knuckle curve.
While some say the knuckle curve is a misnomer, that a lot of pitchers get that index finger out of the way on their curveball anyway, as Relaford stands in, you believe it is appropriately named.
I think it is, particularly, there was another one right there, particularly for Mussina, because on his knuckle change, he uses his index finger only. For his knuckle curve, he uses both the middle finger and the index finger. That's a knuckle curveball right here. Nope, fastball.
He was being deceptive, knowing that you were looking into his glove.
That's right. A lot of times you can't see whether the fingertips, and I'm protecting myself right now. You can tell
shadows.
Yes, it is. You can't, it's shadows, and you can't tell whether the fingertips are on the seams or not.
0-2 on Relaford. We'll just save that little experiment for another time. 1 out, nobody on. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
We did have on the scouting report that he was an east-west pitcher. He is not a low ball pitcher until he throws a knuckle curve. As you see, his road record much better than at home, and that is very unusual, and we'll tell you why.
1-2. Goodbye. 2 up, 2 strikeouts. Alfonso walking to the plate.
Wicked knuckle curveball, again disappearing, and Mussina, bad news for the Mets, appears to have great stuff this afternoon. When a pitcher is pitching at home, he's pitching from the same mound for the most part over an 81-game stretch. When he pitches on the road, it's a different mound in every ballpark to which he goes. So it would stand to reason that your ERA would be better at home than on the road, but not with Mussina.
Strike 1 on Alfonso. Mussina's been ahead of each hitter here in the first inning. He struck out McEwing. He struck out Relaford.
Interesting to note, Joe, that batters' boxes, for the most part, are uniform in every ballpark.
Except for Fenway.
Except for Fenway. That's right. That's for Carl Everett.
That's right. 0-1 with 2 out, nobody on. That's strike 2, and Mussina can strike out the side here in the first inning. Mike Mussina, a 5-time All-Star. He will not be going to this year's All-Star game. During the course of the day, we'll tell you the Yankees who aren't going. How are you going to start your day, Mike Mussina? That's a good start. Napier could not have been better his last time out Sunday night in Atlanta. A 2-1 victory over the Braves. How will he fare today? And the starting lineup for the New York Yankees. Napier will face Knobloch, the DH. Jeter batting second. Bernie Williams is hitting third. Tino Martinez red hot. Good for him. Jorge Posada, the catcher. Paul O'Neill's in right. Shane Spencer in left. Brocious and Soriano, the bottom 2 in the Yankees starting lineup. The defense for the Mets, middle of the pack in the National League. 8th in fielding percentage. Seal, 8 errors at first. Ordonez, 9 errors at short. The outfield, not a very good outfield for the Mets, either defensively or at the plate. They're happy to have Peyton back patrolling center, and Kevin Apier signed a big contract over the offseason. He's 5-8.
Joe, this may be nothing, but when Apier was warming up, he had that backward motion with his shoulder. He has had shoulder surgery, and that is not a good sign when 1998 was the year. But Kevin has been by far the most effective pitcher for the Mets when he is on. Sometimes a pitcher goes out there and he simply is not as loose as he was his last outing, and that was last Sunday, as you said.
First pitch is outside for a ball to Knobloch, who homered on Monday. First home run in 37 games, and here's the delivery by Apier.
It's a funky motion. He kind of comes out of that ball of black and orange. Black shirts the Mets are wearing today.
1 ball, 1 strike in the scouting report.
2 types of sliders. One that he uses to left-handers and the one to right-handers that goes away from right-handed batters and down to left-handers. 225 career average have right-handers against him, and that's that funky delivery that we were talking about. Very tough to pick up.
Ball's behind Knobloch, 2-1. Tough situation for the Yankees with Knobloch, a publicized proposed trade to Seattle that was scuttled at the last moments. So Knobloch knows he was at least on his way out the door until the deal fell apart. He's had a disappointing year at the plate. He's 2-2 here, leading it off. How about the numbers? April, very good start for Joe Torre's Yankees for Chuck Knobloch, a .333 average. But since then, a .210 average, 2 of his 4 home runs. The slugging percentage, look at the on-base percentage for predominantly the leadoff hitter in this Yankee lineup, under 300. Here's a 2-2. And to third, Desi Relaford. Instead of Ventura, who injured his right shoulder last night, 1 out. There's Robin. Robin had surgery on that shoulder the offseason in '99, trying to clean up some debris in his shoulder, and last night he aggravated his right shoulder, and they hope with a day off today, tomorrow, the All-Star break, that he'll be ready to go when baseball resumes play on Thursday. Here's Jeter. 4 times an All-Star, and he will join the Yankee group going to Seattle after tomorrow night's game. That's a strike.
Of the 7 Yankees selected by Joe Torre, Bernie Williams on deck. The biggest question, I think, was Derek Jeter. Miguel Tejada has 18 home runs with the Oakland Athletics. Andy Pettitte, last night's winner, will be going to Seattle. Joe Torre simply says, the most Yankee All-Stars since 1962, 1 more than the Seattle Mariners, so 13 from those 2 teams.
1 ball, 1 strike on Jeter here with 1 out. To the shortstop, Ordonez, who is right. 2 out.
Joe Torre talking about Derek Jeter, saying Derek Jeter's average is about 50 points higher than Miguel Tejada. And Joe Torre not backing up on his selection of 7 All-Stars.
You can defend any one of the All-Star selections by Joe Torre. Individually, you can say Williams deserves to go. I think you can make a strong case for Mike Stanton, as Kevin Kennedy did in the pregame show today, as compared to Jeff Nelson. I think the sheer volume, and it's not unprecedented, done by Bobby Cox in '97, by Cito Gaston in '93. It's not crazy to think that the Yankees would take 7 and Joe Torre would select 7. 3 pitches on that list as a breaking ball is in for a strike for the All-Star game on Tuesday night. 3 days until the All-Star game, it says there, Tim. Getting ready?
Yes.
2 out, nobody on, 0-1 the count.
I'm going to Seattle tonight, man. You kidding?
Already.
Yes, sir.
Williams takes a strike. It's 0-2, but I think you're always going to get questions about who the manager selects. The number, it's a high number. Joe Torre obviously knew he was going to get criticism for the number of Yankees that he is bringing. He's defended his decisions. And as I said, you can make a case for any one of the 7. As ball 1 floats outside to Bernie Williams. I think these days it's been Yankee, Yankee, Yankee in the postseason. It's been the Yankees. You know, we show them week after week on the Fox Saturday baseball game of the week, and I think you can make a case for some of the other players around the league to get a chance on that Tuesday night in front of a national audience to showcase some of the other young talent in the American League. That, to me, is the one aspect to it that I think is disappointing. But Joe Torre, you can understand it. How's that for right down the middle and saying nothing for 5 minutes?
Well, keep in mind they won the World Championship the last 4 out of 5 years. So if any edge is going to go to any team, in my view, and that's why I agree with Torre, and if I were the manager in his boots, I would have done the same thing.
You would have?
Absolutely. I would have.
I think the irony of all irony, and that strike 3 call to end the first inning, is, in my opinion, Bobby Valentine did a better job with his selection process than the guy in the other dugout. And we'll talk about that when we come back in the second. There's no score. This from your local Fox station. Mike Piazza, with his fractured left big toe, walks into the batter's box wearing a protective guard on the top of that left shoe. He leads it off here in the second inning. No score. Messina struck out the side in the first, and he blows a fastball over the inside corner for strike 1 here to start the second. Piazza, Mark Johnson, and Todd Zeile. There is that protective guard that Piazza has borrowed from Shinjo, the outfielder for the Mets. He typically wears that. Takes it inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Piazza, I know we're not going to have time to get into it now, but isn't it refreshing to see a guy do everything he possibly can to be a part of the All-Star game?
It is.
Piazza has every reason not to go.
That's one reason to go. Putting the Mets on the board on a high curveball from Andy Pettit in last night's game.
But here's a guy who appreciates being there. Here's a guy with a Clemens situation, possibly having to answer those questions again if indeed Clemens is the starting pitcher and Piazza's in the starting lineup. Here's a guy who's got a fractured left big toe. He hasn't been able to catch for the past week, and he wants to be there. 2 balls, 2 strikes, because he respects and appreciates what it means to be an All-Star.
2 selections for the Mets. Rick Reed, his second appearance, and Mike Piazza, should he elect to go, it'll be his 9th, but he couldn't go last year because of the concussion received on July 8th from Roger Clemens on the knockdown pitch.
The 2-2. Piazza into right center field. That ball will get down and go all the way to the wall. Piazza will end up with a double and a good start to the second for the Mets.
He hit that ball flat-footed. There's nobody stronger pound for pound. Watch the left foot plant, and he hits the ball flat-footed. To hit a ball that hard, that far, the other way, is just brute strength and coordination. Can there be brute coordination? In his case, yes. Running all right. He's never was a fast runner. But Piazza with an opposite field double.
Here's Mark Johnson getting a chance in the starting lineup today, and you might see different guys getting opportunities, not only those on the active roster for the Mets now, but sure before too long Alex Escobar will come back up when they're ready to put him in the lineup every day. They're already seemingly at that point in what is a lost season with the Mets. Ball 1 up and into Johnson, who's driven in 7. With runners in scoring position, as the Mets have here, they have been dreadful. And you have to fight every urge to make this a let's bring up every negative statistic on the Mets, but it's so surprising that they are playing so poorly. Their average with runners in scoring position, look at that, 0.58 in the last 8 games. 3 runs or less in 46 of their 87 games this season. They've scored the fewest runs in Major League Baseball. Their average as a team is last in the National League. Here's a 2-0 to Johnson. Now it's 3-0 from Messina.
For most teams, runners on at second or third is scoring position. For the Mets this season, it's been runners in stranded position.
Piazza, the runner at second with nobody out. We'll see what they do with Johnson on a 3-0 pitch. Meaning Is he swinging if he likes it? He is. It's 3-1.
That's what you do not want to do, is foul it off the other way on a 3-0 pitch. If you're late when you're looking for the fastball, what are you going to be if you're behind in the count? I'm sure that's running through Bobby Valentine's mind right now.
3 balls and a strike. Leadoff double by Piazza. And another foul backing out of play on another fastball, and it's 3-2. Zeal waits to hit next. Sold out house, Yankee Stadium, and they want to see Messina bounce back from a 3-0 count and get his 4th strikeout of the game. At least most do. It's still 3-2.
That was the knuckle change. You get to where you can read Messina's pitching. He's a very interesting pitcher from that standpoint. Has very strong fingers and is able to throw a pitch like that.
Messina, a 2-1 winner at Shea on June 16th on a Saturday afternoon. Even had an RBI single in that game, which was the difference on the scoreboard. Again, the 3-2. 1 out. So not only does Johnson not drive in the run or reach base after going up 3-0, he doesn't advance the runner. The strikeout for the first out. Back on June 16th, Messina was overpowering. Even good at the plate with a 2-out RBI single up the middle to put the Yankees on top 2-0 at the time, and they won the game 2-1. They're late. They need one more up on the wall. Here's Zeal.
60 feet 6 inches away from the pitching rubber is a moose crossing, and it's been dangerous for the Mets so far today.
That's into center field. Piazza will have to hold at third, and it's 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Is Piazza guilty of not knowing where the shortstop was?
No, you never know where the shortstop is because he's behind you. You don't know whether he's trickling over. And Piazza looking back. You see him looking back right there. He doesn't know whether Derek Jeter is trying to daylight play. You never know that. Mike appears to be miffed, but that's not his fault. That is something that any base runner, good or bad, would fall into.
So when I hear it time and time again from one announcer, one ex-player after another, that the runner at second base didn't know where the shortstop was.
You shouldn't hear that from an announcer.
Well, I do, mister.
Well, and now outfielders are different. The first thing you do is check the outfielders. You know where the second baseman, first baseman, third baseman are.
Here's a shallow fly ball to center. You wouldn't think they'd try to score Piazza. They don't. 2 out and another missed opportunity. This time it's Payton guilty of missing the chance.
Between innings, I want names of broadcasters who said base runners at second should know where the shortstop is.
Yeah.
Come on. Bernie Williams does not have a strong throwing arm, but his arm right now is better than Piazza's legs. So Piazza has to hold up at third base.
And now it takes a hit from Pratt, who's hitting 155. I just think you're wrong.
Good.
1st and 3rd, 2 out. Strike 1. There are the numbers for Pratt. 3 RBIs in the season, 1 home run. And he, for the most part, has been the everyday catcher since Piazza went down last Friday. Little floater, inning over. Soriano to his right, a leadoff double, followed by a 1-out single, followed by more frustration for the Mets. Messina does his job, no score. Before you go through this, can I just submit an apology to our viewing audience. Go ahead.
Why? I was going to try to get the audience on my side here. Mike Piazza, right there. There's Derek Jeter. Now, you really don't know whether Jeter's going to go over here or whether Jeter's going to stay right there, and that's why Piazza did not know where Jeter was. The shortstop, when you're the runner at second base, the shortstop's the only player that you don't know where he is. Do you think, was that conclusive enough? No,
I was convinced. Here's Tino Martinez, who takes a strike from Kevin Appier.
I think Mike even berating himself between innings, thinking that he could have scored on that ball, but even with a good break, he probably doesn't make it home.
Tino Martinez has been hot. His last 11 games, a .381 average. The home runs are starting to fly out of the park again. After listening time to time, and all the time for a while, about Nick Johnson, the first baseman of the future for the Yankees. That's off the hands and back toward us. It's 1-2. Last 11 games for Tino. 8 home runs, 19 RBIs. He's slugging 1,000. The second most RBIs by a first baseman since '95. Bagwell leads the way. How is Nick Johnson playing at AAA?
.253 average with 10 home runs. Not future Yankee material yet. Drew Henson, the third baseman who broke his wrist earlier in the year, also struggling.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Tino Martinez started this hot streak. Go back to a game against Cleveland, the 25th of June, talking with Don Mattingly, as they talked about in the pregame show today. Don told him to try to stay back on off-speed pitches, but Tino, in this one case, wasn't listening. But here is Don Mattingly watching, talking about Tino and his front hip flying open automatically and too quickly. He had a pinch hit home run. That was on the 25th, his first career pinch hit home run. He got one last night as well, and he has taken off. The plaque for Don Mattingly out in Monument Park. So Tino, the guy that replaced a legend here with the Yankees, at least a recent legend, getting tips and pointers from him, and it's really helped turn him around. 1 ball, no strikes on Posada. 2
guys that played against one another in the 1995 Wild Card Series, the division playoffs. Tino Martinez, Don Mattingly. Mattingly's last year.
One ball, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Posada, an all-star. Takes ball 2, 2-0. I don't think people around baseball give Posada enough credit for the progress he's made over the last couple of years, from being Joe Girardi's understudy to being the everyday guy here for the Yankees, and what he can do at the plate. Switch hitting catcher with power. 2-0 pitch. It's 3-0.
When you talk about Jorge, you have to talk about his offense first, because he is a much, much better offensive player than he is a defensive player, even though his innate skills defensively are very good. For instance, he's got a very, very strong throwing arm. He's got good hands, but, I mean, 2 years ago, they checked Posada's vision, and the reason was he was missing a lot of balls off the heel of the glove, off the webbing of the glove, and sometimes defensively, the ball eats him up. It should eat up the hitter, but it shouldn't eat up the catcher. But you'll see that occasionally with Jorge.
Here's Paul O'Neill with 1 on, 1 out.
Another problem in Jorge's arsenal is his base running. He is one of the poorer base runners in the American League and makes blatant errors in judgment on the bases.
Maybe he shouldn't be an all-star. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I think you take the overall package. I mean, base running and catchers are not usually closely allied anyway. Will you quit that? Cunning for me today. Wow.
0-1 the count on O'Neill.
Trying to give you a complete picture of Mr. Posada's abilities in all fairness and objectivity. But does he belong on the All-Star team? Absolutely.
One the count on O'Neill. Apier. Double play ball maybe. Apier falls. Ordonez turns it. The inning is over. That'll do it for the Yankees in the second. Third inning now. No score. Fox Sports, home of the 2001 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Back after this from your local Fox station. In just 3 days, dream matchups become classic confrontations. The big unit against A-Rod in the city that made both men stars, the American League's best pitchers. Try to stop Major League home run leader Barry Bonds. Ichiro makes his All-Star Game debut. And we will say so long, at least All-Star Game-wise, to Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn. Their final appearances at this 72nd All-Star Game in Seattle on Tuesday night. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. This is Ordonez, 1 ball, 1 strike. We started to talk right before the break, I guess about an inning ago, about the job Bobby Valentine did as the National League All-Star manager. 2-1 on Ordonez, and at least in my opinion, hats off to him for doing a very thorough job, talking to a lot of managers that he's had some problems with in the past, personality clashes, but he really went about his work and did a good job, in my mind, of putting that team together. That's down the left field line. It's trying to get foul, and it's out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hall of Fame careers, the class of 2007. At the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, that's a given for Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken Jr. 19-time All-Star, 15-time All-Star, and 2 men who played their entire careers with one organization. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ordonez. 3-2. Valentine even, I'm sorry, I was just going to one more point. Valentine even went so far as to call Bruce Bochy and ask him if he knew if Henderson was going to call it quits at the end of the year, because he thought Henderson deserved a curtain call of sorts at this All-Star game coming up, and he and Henderson didn't like each other at all.
I couldn't agree with you more. The most recent eye of the storm for Bobby is the Cliff Floyd incident. Cliff, the terrific outfielder for the Florida Marlins, where Bobby was engaged in the conversation with his agent, Seth Levinson. Cliff Floyd, with an expanded roster, certainly deserves to be on the All-Star team. That would solve the problems for the managers. Torrey criticized for taking 7. Bobby criticized for not taking Cliff Floyd.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Ordonez, and a weakly hit ground ball to Soriano. 1 away.
I do think, in fairness, that Bobby's mistake with the Cliff Floyd incident was making the phone call to Cliff without knowing whether he was going to be on the team or not.
There had to have been genuine excitement on the part of Cliff Floyd, especially with a history this season with Bobby Valentine, and Cliff Floyd calling Valentine a stupid manager. Prior to that, Valentine being happy that Floyd had been drilled in a we'll hit you, you hit us kind of series with the Marlins earlier in the season. That had seemingly been put to bed. Valentine makes the call. In Floyd's words, Valentine said, unless something crazy happens, I shouldn't tell you this, but you're going to be on the team. Valentine says, I didn't say that. I said you're on the bubble. But whatever the conversation, if Valentine went so far as to call Cliff Floyd, I'm sure Cliff took that as, well, he's calling me to make sure I'm going to go and play for him. If he's bothering to call me, I must be going.
That's my view on that. $16,000 worth of airline tickets that the agent said, Levinson says, is the smoking gun, and I think that's ridiculous. I mean, you mean to tell me you can't turn in $16,000 worth of tickets? They might charge you $75 a ticket, but I mean, come on, please.
You got to turn it over to the Major League umpires or NBA officials. They know what to do with tickets. 0-2 the count on McEwing. One ball, two strikes. The key is trying to hand those tickets off to somebody in Montreal who wants to go to the All-Star game. That's where some of those flights originate. All-Star game? What? What? Baseball? Now I've got Montreal against me. That's the third and foul. I will run that risk.
Well, the last time the rosters were expanded was 1969, and 8 teams have come into baseball since that time. 1977 and 1993, and then most recently in 1998. And the rosters have not been expanded. That, to me, is just hard-headedness on the part of baseball.
That's down the line and foul, still 1-2.
And I would imagine the reason that they don't do that is because of incentives in the contracts that give players $50,000 extra, $100,000, whatever you negotiate.
And let's be honest about it, Valentine's job was made easier by how poorly the Mets have played this season. He wasn't tempted to take his players. I mean, you can make arguments for Stanton and Jeter. You can't make very strong arguments for players on this Mets club other than Reed, who is going for the second time, and he did not participate his first time through, and Mike Piazza. And again, nice to see a guy who's been there before 8 times, although he didn't play his 8th time last year because of the concussion, and wants to go back and wants to be a part of a night where Ripken and Gwynn will both be on it. And still 1-2 on McEwing. But who else was Valentine going to take from his own club? So it opened up, you know, a handful of opportunities for other players around the league to get a shot at it. Clemens, even though Joe Torre won't say it because he has promised the American League that he won't reveal it, Major League Baseball, is going to be the starter, you have to believe, on Tuesday night. Up the middle, and McEwing has a 1-out hit.
Now, what a great at-bat by Super Joe. That's why he gets that nickname. Fouling off a lot of tough pitches and finally got a high fastball out over the plate that he rifles up the middle. Nice job there.
Joe Torre promised Major League Baseball he wouldn't reveal the name of his starter on Tuesday night. Here are his thoughts on who will be on the mound to start it for the American League on July 10th.
I tell you, it would be a pretty safe guess, but after promising Phyllis Marich, who is the love of my life, that I keep this thing a secret, you know, I think for sure he's one of a couple of guys who, because of when they pitch, are definitely ready to start on Tuesday.
If you can read through that, you have to believe that Clemens is the guy. He was actually working on the side today prior to the game in a tune-up for that Tuesday start, throwing down in the bullpen before the start of the game with Mel Stottlemyre. McEwing has extended his hitting streak to 10 games, 15 shy of his career best, and he draws a throw from Messina.
Roger Clemens soon turns 39, and if he does start for the American League, he will be the oldest starter in American League history. The oldest starter in Major League history, Warren Spahn, who started when he was 40 and a half, which is remarkable.
1 ball, no strikes on Relaford. One of the few surprises for the Mets, at least pleasant surprises for the Mets this season. They've had a lot of surprises. Not many of them are pleasant. 2-0 the count on Relaford. Roger Clemens also, talk about the oldest pitcher in American League history to start an All-Star game. We'll have a 15-year gap between All-Star game starts dating back to 1986. That's the longest gap between starts. 2-0 on Relaford. 2-1. He has been on a roll, and it has not just covered the start of this season for the Yankees. Roger Clemens has finally settled in and pitched like the pitcher they thought they were getting when they traded David Wells and others to get him from Toronto.
Winner of only 14 games in 1999 and did not pitch well. Ended up 14-10. Was on the DL part of the first half of last season. But since July 1st of last year, he has been dominating.
Runner at first with 1 out, 2 balls and a strike on Relaford. Desi hitting .288. Talked about the difference in Messina's numbers from the windup as opposed to the stretch, and it comes into play here. And the right side of the infield is open with Martinez holding against McEwing.
Most curveball pitchers have a tougher time pitching from the stretch than they do from the windup, because in order to throw the good curveball, the lower body has to come into play, and from the stretch it does so less so.
Runner going, throw by Posada, high and out. McEwing called out. Even with that sailing throw from Posada, Valentine's going to argue, and I don't blame him. Looks safe from up here.
I'll tell you, Bobby Valentine going out on the field right now with all the things that have happened to the Mets this year, that's an angry Bobby Valentine going out there right now. I've always said that a manager has more of a chance to be thrown out of a game on a day game after a night game because they don't get a lot of rest. But with all of the things that have happened to the Mets this year, Valentine out to argue the play, and not that vocal. But I thought he was safe also. The throw from Posada is high, but a quick tag and an athletic tag by Jeter, and he was safe. He was safe.
I'm not so sure anymore.
No?
Yeah.
Thought so.
Yep.
Tag is late. Foot's already on the bag. McEwing in the process of coming up when the tag was made.
Here's a 2-2 to Relaford. And that's a foul tip.
The reason Posada threw the ball high to second base is Relaford was in his way. If Valentine can argue that and appeared McEwing was safe, well then Joe Torre could have argued the fact that Relaford was in the way in taking the pitch, not swinging, that causing Posada to make the high throw.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on. And it'll stay that way. McEwing now 4 stolen bases. He's been caught 3 times. Relaford trying to get on in front of Alfonso, who was only 1 out of 13 since coming off the disabled list on Tuesday. 2-2. Full count.
Here's that play once again. Now you can understand Relaford making this movement if he had swung at the pitch, but he took the pitch. So that causes Posada to make the throw over Relaford, causing the throw to be high to Jeter. Interesting play.
And a base hit into left follows it, which is the way things have gone for the Mets. Relaford is on with 2 outs, and the batter will be Alfonso. And the Mets wondering what this inning might have brought, at least at this point, without that call down at second base.
Absolutely.
Now Alfonso, mentioned 1 out of 13 since coming off the disabled list with his bad back. And this guy is a big reason why, and injury is a big factor in it, why the Mets have been disappointing offensively this season. He is one of the best players in baseball, period. Ball 1.
Joe, if McEwing is called safe at second base, Relaford drives him in, and then unless Alfonso hits into a double play, you assure Mike Piazza hitting with somebody on base. So far, this has been an inning that has more described the Mets season thus far than anything else.
Here's a 1-0. Now Relaford is running, but Alfonso pops it up. Glasses on. Glove shielding the glasses and eyes, and that'll do it. 2 hits in the inning, a man out stealing, a man left. Mike Messina off to a strong start today. Yankees will have the bottom 3 in the order in the 3rd, no score. Did you know that today's aerial coverage is being provided by the Monster.com blimp? Monster.com is a proud sponsor of the 2002 Olympic Winter Games and the 2002 U.S. Olympic team. Monster.com, job good, life good. Life is good around here for the Yankees, winners of 12 of their last 14 and owners of a game-and-a-half lead in the AL East. Spencer with a hard hit ball, but out number 1 in the 3rd. And a very good start for Kevin Appier.
And a good job by Mark Johnson. Johnson, normally a first baseman, making a rather nice play on that ball hit by Spencer. Right field is not the problem here at Yankee Stadium. Before this game is over, regulation, extra innings, what have you, in all probability, as it often happens, there's going to be a problem in left field. It's the toughest sun field for left field in the major leagues. As Yogi used to say, it gets late early out there. Well, it does.
Here's Brocious, and there's strike 1.
That's one of the reasons Joe Torre has his best defensive left fielder in left field today. Right field is not so much of a problem. But in left field, looking up at that sun, Joe McEwing, inexperienced, it could be a problem.
That's foul, and the count 0-2.
Fortunately for Joe and center fielder Jay Payton, they do have a little cloud cover, serve as backdrops. If it were all blue, it would be a higher sky. But center and left field, left center, down the line, tough.
0-2. Brocious is gone, and that's strikeout number 3 for Appier. And I think Scott is saying, is that on the pitch or on the check swing? How is that strike 3? He wants to know.
It's not where Pratt catches the ball, but where it goes over the plate. Pratt caught it low, but it appeared it was borderline.
Here's Soriano, who homered last night, has 6, 24 stolen bases. His walk total is up to 13, and he's hitting .265. Solid start as an everyday player at the big league level, to say the least, for Soriano. And learning a new position at the big league level. Strike 1. Would you say Wrigley Field, right field, is the toughest right field?
Yes. And Candlestick, of course, in San Francisco, the elements there, probably the toughest in baseball, but that is no longer.
0-2 the count on Soriano.
It's the elements in Wrigley and Old Candlestick, because you not only had the sun, but the wind, the two, combination of the two, were very, very difficult on outfield.
Here's an 0-2 to Soriano. Ball and 2 strikes. Appier, we mentioned last Sunday night, a 2-1 win. He went 8, allowing no runs on 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks. And today he's faced the minimum, facing this hot Yankee lineup, as he's ahead on the count of 1-2 in the number 9 hitter, Soriano. Still 1-2. Let's go back in time, the 1st of July, before all those 4th of July barbecues. And the effort, the strikeouts, 3 of the 6 he compiled that night in Atlanta for the 2-1 victory. Last 8 starts, ERA terrific. The Mets' record in those starts, not good. Into center, Payton. Inning over. If you don't know it, if you didn't watch the pregame show, shame on you, but we'll talk about a big factor now in the NL East, the loss of Furcal to the Braves, when we come back in the 4th. It's the 4th inning now, no score. The Mets have all the hits. Piazza, Johnson, and Zeal for the Mets here in the 4th inning. Piazza doubled his first time. Takes a ball inside. .275 average, 21 home runs, 47 RBI. Breaking ball drops low. It's 2-0. The New York Mets have no players in the top 10 hitting categories across the National League, except Robin Ventura is tied for 8th in walks. That's it. 2 balls and a strike as Piazza took a big rip. Interleague action, Mike Piazza is one of the best in the game. A .364 average. A lot of that against the Yankees. A lot of that against Roger Clemens. Slugging percentage big. 21 home runs, 62 RBIs. 2-1. 2-2. Doesn't appear too effective by that left big toe.
No, he doesn't. I guess it would be more painful if it was the right big toe, because that would be the toe off of which he had to push instead of landing.
2-2 the count. Messina struck out 4. That's down the line and foul.
Well, it's unfortunate that catchers get used to pain. And it's an unfortunate thing, but it's part of your life. Now here's a guy with a broken left big toe. It's the distal phalanx bone. Down on strikes there, and that's more painful than the left foot right now. But that's one of the things you have to carry around, the fact that most of the time you hurt, and hurting is not unusual. That's why a guy like Piazza can play with the broken left big toe, where other guys perhaps couldn't play.
Distal phalanx is one of the old Roman war tactics, isn't it?
Phalanx, not phalanx. I guess the toes themselves are kind of a phalanx when you think about it.
They are. One out, nobody on for Johnson. And a strike thigh high for Mike Messina. Well, we talked about Rafael Furcal. Talk about the injury to Piazza. They lost him for basically a week. Rafael Furcal earlier in the season, they lost him for a week after this play, jamming that left shoulder. And then last night, in one of the more awkward, more acrobatic slides you'll see, sliding into second base, popped up into the air. He said he slid too late, and he dislocated his left shoulder, and he may be lost for the rest of the season. That is an enormous loss to the Atlanta Braves. They will not replace him.
No question. Nope, they cannot replace him. Mark DeRosa will probably be the regular second baseman, and they will mix and match at shortstop. But he is, we were even talking about Rafael last week, and it was my opinion that Furcal was the guy that put the Braves over the hump and would be the difference if they overtake the Philadelphia Phillies.
A game behind him after winning a series over Philadelphia. Maddox winning the final game. It's impossible to replace that kind of speed at the top of the lineup. They're already struggling trying to protect Chipper Jones in the middle of their lineup. They really don't have much protection for him there, at least consistent protection. Ryan Jordan with a big game-winning hit last night in the extra innings to win the game for Atlanta and Boston after a blown save, by the way. Here's a 1-2 to Johnson, 2-2. As Messina hits the glove. But for the Atlanta Braves, that is a big blow.
It really is.
They just seem to start to figure it out as well, getting on top of the ball, chopping it on the infield, using the speed. Here's the 2-2 to Johnson. Full count.
Speaking of the Philadelphia Phillies, Jimmy Rollins, the shortstop, and he's a good one, will be going to the All-Star game as the Phillies representative.
Johnson stays alive as Posada could not hang on.
The last time the Phillies had a representative at shortstop was when their manager, Larry Boa, played in the All-Star game in 1974. Posada cannot hold on to the foul tip.
Rollins has now set the Phillies' consecutive stolen base mark, and it was Boa's record that he broke with over 21. There's a base hit the opposite way, and for the Mets, their 5th hit of the game. Johnson 1 out of 2, and the batter will be Zeal 1 on 1 out.
I know if you talk to Jimmy Rollins, he would tell you that he wished Bobby Valentine had selected Ricky Henderson to go to the All-Star game, because Jimmy grew up in Oakland, and Ricky was his hero. He was playing with the Phillies when Ricky Henderson broke Babe Ruth's record for walks this year in late April in San Diego. Then Ricky tried to steal second base, and Jimmy tagged him out.
1 on 1 out. Zeal took a strike, throw down, and Johnson gets back. Zeal is stunned that that first pitch was called strike 1. And he gets into it with a home plate umpire. Now Bobby Valentine gets into it with a home plate umpire.
That pitch appeared to be high. You know, Joe, you and I both agreed Bobby can't believe it. And we said the argument earlier in the game, Bobby is not in a good mood today, folks.
I don't think he'll last the game.
There's a possibility of that. Maybe even change to a probability of that.
1 on 1 out, the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on Zeal. It all depends on the patience on the part of the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher, or some other base umpire. And whether Bobby Valentine will make it if the first 3 innings plus are any indication. One and 2. The whole idea of ejecting a manager is almost ridiculous. I mean, they just go out of... Now I'm saying this about Valentine, a guy who came back with a disguise on the bench a couple of years ago. But they just leave the dugout area and they manage the game from 10 feet away instead of on the bench. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you could say after that that second fastball was called a strike to Todd Zeal, Bobby, in giving the signs to third base coach John Stearns, slapping his left forearm, even getting mad when he's transferring the signs to his third base coach.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Zeal. Stays alive. Oh, I said it. I'm sorry, people. June 9th, 1999. Bobby Valentine is gone, but not for long. You know, that thing is weirder every time you see it. Sitting in the dugout with the eye black instead of a mustache, the glasses. 2 balls, 2 strikes, now full count.
Looking more like Peter Sellers walking the beat.
Does your dog bite?
He's still mad. A little shake of the head. It has just been a nightmarish season so far for the Mets.
3 balls, 2 strikes. I bet they start the runner. He's going, and Zeal fouls it away. If there's one guy in this Mets lineup that Bobby Valentine trusts to put the bat on the ball, it's Zeal. Jay Payton, a struggling Jay Payton, waits to hit next. Three balls, 2 strikes. Runner goes. Zeal takes strike 3, and that'll end the inning. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. Zeal took strike 3, and that started the first double play of the day for the Yankees. We go to the bottom of the 4th. That was an easy one for Posada. Still no score. He's still mad.
He sure is.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
It's getting more and more interesting between the home plate umpire and Bobby Valentine. Between innings, the home plate umpire went over to the dugout. Bobby Valentine ended up putting his hands over his ears. Watch this. And then using his debating techniques afterwards said, I know you are, but what am I? I can't hear you. But you know what? The home plate umpire shouldn't walk over there.
No, you're right.
Ordonez to his left. Knobloch is gone. He's 0 for 2.
Bobby's first line was probably, did Cliff Floyd send you over here? Or his agent, Seth Levinson? Obviously not a laughing matter to Bobby right now, but the Mets are finding nothing to laugh about.
Also not a laughing matter to Seth Levinson or
No,
Floyd.
No.
Here's Derek Jeter, 1 out, nobody on. By the way, all Seth Levinson is doing is protecting his client.
Sure, absolutely.
So I don't fault him on that.
No.
Trying to come up with some reason. The smoking gun theory.
Yeah.
It was worth a shot. 1 ball, 1 strike, and while everything else has gone on, and that ejection happened because of umpires' warnings and a couple of his players getting hit after the warning, and then his pitcher Wendell throwing behind Mike Matheny, and he came out and said, hey, what's going on? When Wendell was ejected for not hitting a Cardinal, Valentine was ejected in that game, a game that the Mets came off the mat and won with a 3-run 9th inning, an extra inning victory. 2 balls and a strike, 1 out, nobody on, and it's 2-2. Kirk Wendell was at the heart of that confrontation. Jeter grounded out his first time up, looking for his 100th hit of the season. Bernie Williams on deck. Still 2-2. Jeter's last year's All-Star Game most valuable player. Was the World Series MVP as well. Will be going to Seattle for Tuesday night's game. Backing up Alex Rodriguez. By the way, anybody who thinks Alex Rodriguez is not having a tremendous season while the Rangers are tripping all over themselves is wrong. He has put up huge numbers. 3 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out, nobody on. Jeter. To the left side, Ordonez. Slide, throw, 2 out. That is classic Ordonez. Alex Rodriguez, 25 home runs, 73 RBIs for the Texas Rangers.
Marvelous play by Ray Ordonez. The slide, the catch, and the throw.
Our Radio Shack trivia question: in the last All-Star game played in Seattle, who drove in the game-winning run? That's our Radio Shack trivia question. Who had the game-winning RBI in the '79 All-Star game at the Kingdome in Seattle? He is here at the park. Bernie Williams, strike 1.
Got a modified shift on for Bernie Williams. This is the only team who employs this particular type of shift with Ordonez near second base. Bernie can ground the ball through on the left side. That's why the shift surprises me.
You were surprised last night at the positioning of Ordonez, the shortstop, with lighter pitching against a right-handed batter.
Yeah, playing towards second base with Bernie Williams batting right-handed. And Bernie, sure enough, single in the hole.
He's jammed here in a pop-up. Relaford gives it a look. Has a play and makes the catch. The Yankees go in order. Kevin Apier, outstanding. No hits given up through 4. Into the 5th. No score at Yankee Stadium. No score through 4 innings. The New York Mets will be a part of our Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week next week for interleague action as the Red Sox take on the New York Mets. It all begins with This Week in Baseball next Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Central. Watch the entire baseball season unfold across the Fox networks. Jay Payton first up, the number 7 hitter, 0 for 1. Flied into shallow center with first and third, one out back in the second, and missed an RBI chance. 0-2.
You may see Mike Messina in that area again, as Payton with 2 strikes, as much as any Met hitter or any hitter on either side will go after that bad ball away. Messina pitches with as much guile as he does raw ability. Very smart pitcher.
Up and in. Payton is gone, and that's 7 strikeouts for Messina. Our Radio Shack trivia question: in the last All-Star game played in Seattle, which was 1979, who drove in the game-winning run? Our Radio Shack answer. Here's the question. Lee Mazzilli with a bases-loaded RBI walk.
Earlier he had homered.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Lee Mazzilli, who is now the first base coach for Joe Torre and a former member of the New York Mets, is the answer to the Radio Shack trivia question. Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. Here is Pratt, and that is strike 2. Left side, base hit. A 1-out single for Todd Pratt. Lee Mazzilli in the '79 All-Star game. First, a home run off Jim Kern. Just over the wall and left. And then the bases-loaded walk to win the game for the National League.
That was Ron Guidry on the mound, that fastball high and away. The one thing I remember about that game, Joe, were the 2 throws made by Dave Parker, who shared the MVP awards, I believe, with Gary Carter that year. But Dave Parker with tremendous throws, one to third and one to home.
Carter, at the end of one of those throws, the throw to home, made a terrific block of home plate. Here are the throws by Parker. First, the throw to third to get Jim Rice. Ron Say with a tag. And then the line drive base hit into right. Watch the play by Carter on the back end of this. Totally sealed off home plate, and they get the out. The '79 All-Star game, the Kingdome in Seattle. I, too, remember those 2 throws from watching it as a kid. Ordonez takes a strike, the count 0-2. Lee Mazzilli, we talked about, was the answer to our Radio Shack trivia question. Came to the Mets. The Mets at that time in the late '70s were hungry for stars, and this was a Brooklyn guy, good-looking guy, and he was heavily promoted by the New York Mets.
Matinee idol.
Played with Joe Torre and under Joe Torre with the Mets. Ordonez takes ball 1. Later played with the Yankees for a short while. And now the first base coach taking over for Jose Cardinal for Joe Torre. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 on, 1 out. No score in the 5th inning, and Ordonez takes ball 2. Ordonez with the 2nd highest ground ball out to fly ball out ratio in the league. Second to Juan Pierre of Colorado. The difference between the two is Juan Pierre can run. Ordonez is not very fast. He's already grounded out once in this game, so what do? You don't want him to hit it in the air. He doesn't have power to get it out of the park. He's grounding into a lot of outs, and all of that has combined for a 226 average.
What Dave Engel, the hitting coach of the Mets, is trying to get Ray to do is shoot for the hole on the right side, especially with 2 strikes. See, he's trying to pull the ball, and by trying to pull the ball, you pull off the ball. And that's the worst thing and the most universal thing that hitters do when they're going poorly, is pull off the ball. You can see that extension right there, that left shoulder pulling out of there. If, on the other hand, you point that shoulder back to the pitcher or exaggerate it and point it the other way, you get more hits the other way.
Shot of Dave Engel, the hitting coach for the Mets. Messina with a count of 2-2. Ordonez the opposite way and right through Soriano. Pratt will turn but hold. Potential double play ball. It was scorched, but Soriano couldn't handle it. 2 on, 1 out.
It'll be interesting to see how this is scored, but look at the front shoulder of Ordonez there, really staying with that fastball away. He hits it hard in between Hopper Soriano. I'd give him a hit. That looks like an easier play than it really is. Not defending Soriano, but that is a very, very difficult play. Ball was hit hard, and there you can see Ray Ordonez really staying with this fastball and hits it right on the sweet spot. So it's going to be an error. I don't particularly agree with that scoring, but that's all right.
That's error number 9 for Soriano. A Let's Go Mets cheer tries to escape from this sold-out crowd at Yankee Stadium as McEwing takes a ball, and it was at least kept at the plate by Posada on anything but a textbook stop by the Yankee catcher.
The reason it's not textbook is he had to backhand the ball. Whenever a ball's in the dirt and a catcher goes after it and he backhands the ball, generally speaking, it's the wrong way to go about it. Because by backhanding the ball, he's trying to catch the ball, and you don't catch balls in the dirt, you block them.
McEwing could put the Mets on top here in the 5th inning. A hit, an error, and it's 2-0. Pratt the lead runner. Ordonez the trail runner at first. With runners in scoring position, an 0.42 average for McEwing. Like he talked about earlier, pretty good indication as to how Messina's throwing. A fastball count. He got a fastball, and he fouled it back.
Just like Mark Johnson did his last at bat. Messina has enough to blow it by you, at least through the first 6 innings. He does have a tendency to tire the last 3 innings, but that's generally the case with most starters nowadays.
Stottlemyre, the pitching coach, on your right. Now McEwing trying to figure out Messina to put the Mets on top. That's foul, and it's 2-2.
Thanks, Dad.
Now the crowd tries to get into it. An 8-3 win last night for the Yankees. No score here in the 5th inning today. Messina struck out 7.
Joe McEwing does not strike out a lot, but he takes that fastball inside corner, says Andy Fletcher, and he punches McEwing out.
So now 2 on, 2 out.
The best time to pitch hitters inside is with 2 strikes.
Relaford is 1 out of 2. Ball 1.
The good hitters protect the plate with 2 strikes. The better the hitter, the more vulnerable he is to the inside fastball. Talking about the guile of Mike Mussina. Smart.
Heard Mussina described as a power pitcher, at least with his stuff, with more of a finesse pitcher's mentality. He can blow it by you, but he's out there thinking and pitching and not rearing back and throwing it as hard as he can. That's strike 1, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, Mike is of the mental makeup that he finds it seems to me. I've never really talked to him about this, but it seems to me that the mental challenge of getting hitters out is equal to the physical challenge, and he enjoys that as much.
If you graduate from Stanford in 3 years, you probably enjoy the mental challenge.
Yeah, right. Economics degree, which is nice for free agents.
And a 6-year, $88.5 million contract. That is macroeconomics. 2 on, 2 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. There's high gas, and the count 1 and 2.
Relaford going after a questionable pitch.
Now a moose call as this Yankee fan base wants pitch number 95 to be strikeout number 9. Ooh. Desi, hello.
Crowd here at Yankee Stadium used to give the same moose call for moose scouring.
Different callers.
Yeah. Same families, perhaps.
2 on, 2 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Relaford did not take a 2-strike swing on that last pitch. Two and 2 and blocked by Posada. On deck is Alfonso. On the bases, Pratt and Ordonez. So basically 100 pitches here in the 5th inning. Relaford spoiled it. Pretty good little player, Desi Relaford.
Yes, he is.
And a guy that the Phillies may have given up on too quickly. They had Jimmy Rollins. They wanted to clear the way for him. Relaford made a stop out in San Diego, and the Mets did well to sign him as a bench player.
Little emergency swing right there, but he is a very adaptable player, starting at 3rd today for the injured Ventura.
That is hit high and deep into right, but foul. Not all that deep, but it was high, and it was foul. Still 2 and 2. Another chance for the Mets. They have stranded 3. Lost a man stealing. Strike him out, throw him out, double play. All-star game in 3 days. And Relaford trying to put the Mets out in front. And Messina and Posada cannot get together.
Plate coverage is good at dining room tables and in the batter's box. And we have seen Desi Relaford on the changeup off the plate away, foul a ball off, and then foul off an inside fastball. A lot of times, instead of getting together on particular pitches to call, pitcher and a catcher are far apart on where to throw the next pitch, location.
Another 2-2. And a little fly ball into left. Messina gets around another tight spot. Tim talked about how hard it is to play left field. Shane Spencer just proved it with that catch. Oh, that's nice. Good way to go to break. No score.
Saturday Baseball is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich Tires. Take control. By Rolaids. Rolaids, R-O-L-A-I-D-S, spells relief. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, we keep America running. And by Mercury. Now at your local Mercury dealer today.
What's it like in a blimp on a day like this in the Bronx? Well, they know. That bright orange monster up in the sky today, the Monster.com blimp, providing us with great views of Yankee Stadium. Monster.com, job good, life good. Bottom of the 5th inning, Tino Martinez, Jorge Posada, and Paul O'Neill for the Yankees. And a strike. The Fontanese, according to the home plate umpire.
It's probably easier seeing a fly ball from the Monster.com blimp than it is from left field looking up. Whenever a fielder looks away after making the catch, they just thank their lucky stars that the ball landed in the glove. Just put the glove somewhere in the area and hope it lands in the pocket.
Turn your face away so that if you miss it, it doesn't hit you in the face.
Right.
0-2 the count on Martinez.
On cue, exhaling.
Did you know that Apier is not allowed to hit?
I did.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Are we immune from all that jinx stuff up here?
I've never quite understood the fact that, well, we broke it the day that David Cone pitched the perfect game. Back in 1999, July 17th.
1 out, strikeout number 4. Right now for a break, let's go back to Jeannie in the studio. Speed Pass Game Break brought to you by Mobile.
Jones from a no-hitter to a big bopper. Top foot, big bases loaded from Mark McGwire in a 1-for-32 slump. He's retiring all right, retiring baseball. Big lead for the Cardinals, bottom 4, Joe.
I got 48 phone calls yesterday about Mark McGwire and the story about him retiring at the end of the year. I left St. Louis. It was on the front page of the Post-Dispatch in St. Louis as Posada flies one into center. This will be the second out as Peyton fights the Sun. 2 down. And I think the Post-Dispatch is guilty of taking a comment made by a frustrated player on a frustrating team. I mean, the Cardinals have been terrible since the first month and a half of the season. And you know better than I know that when things aren't going well for a team and you aren't playing well individually, and Mark's not a young guy, 37, you get frustrated. But
Sure.
that's all it is. I mean, there's nothing more to it than that. Especially since he's got $30 million sitting out there for him for the next 2 years.
$30 million.
Yes. Dr. Evil. Ball 1. Paul O'Neill is 0 for 1. He bounced into a 1-6-3 double play his first time up. O'Neill has found his name on the lineup card all over the place this season. Batting in the number 6 spot. Last night wasn't even in the lineup against the left-hander Leiter as they started Gerald Williams, who they picked up since we last talked to you. Here's a 1-0. 2-0.
Interesting to note, while Kevin Apier still has a no-hitter, that the New York Mets have never had a pitcher pitch a no-hitter in their 49-year history.
That former Met pitchers pitch no-hitters, just not wearing that uniform.
That's correct. 39-year history.
Here's a 2-0. It's 3-0. The last one to do it was White Gooden for the Yankees here against Seattle.
Tom Seaver did it when he was with Cincinnati.
Nolan Ryan had a few.
Yep, after he left the Mets. Only had 7, that's all. 7 no-hitters. 7.
3-0 the count. O'Neill with 2 out, nobody on. 3-1.
How about that? A breaking ball on a 3-0 count to Paul O'Neill. Think Kevin Apier doesn't realize he has a no-no?
Here's a 3-1. To the right side and foul. It was foul. "32 years ago tomorrow, Tom Seaver's near perfect game against the Cubs. 8 2/3. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on as Apier tries to battle back from a 3-0 count. Apier got it. 87-mile-an-hour fastball, and O'Neill went up and after it, and he's gone. 5 strikeouts, no hits, 1 walk. 6th inning, no score. 6th inning of a scoreless game. Our A&W fan cam, Ella Fitzgerald.
It's lovely going through the zoo. It's very fancy on old Delancey Street, you know. The subway charms us so when balmy breezes blow to and fro. And tell me what street compares with Mott Street in July. Sweet push carts gently gliding by. The great big city's a wondrous toy.
Manhattan.
Just made for
Ella Fitzgerald. And after Alfonso grounded to short, Mike Piazza will stand in here in the Bronx. Piazza 1 out of 2 with a double and a strikeout. No score, 6th inning. Messina and Apier dominant here today. Ball 1 up and in, and Apier has not allowed a hit through 5. Messina has allowed no runs on 6 hits.
Words to that song, this great big city's a wondrous toy, and here's the erector set of the Mets right here, Mike Piazza.
Here's a 1-0 pitch right here, and that's a strike poured in over the inside corner. Mike with 21 home runs on the season. That's down the line and foul. Strike 2. Mike Piazza trusts that guard on his left foot. He says those pitches down and in or over the inside part of the plate don't bother him at all. And that was an example of it. In fact, too quick on it as he jerked it into the seats. 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, 2 strikes, top of the 6th inning. 2 out. Right now, back to Jeannie in the studio with a Speed Pass game break brought to you by Mobile.
Joe, Mark McGwire give it. The Cardinals a 4-1 lead. Kenny Lofton take it away. Bottom 4, the 3-run shot off Andy Bennis. And we're all tied up now. Bottom 4. Everybody has 6. Joe?
Jeannie, thank you. Disappointing season for Andy Bennis, to say the least, and now Mark Johnson stands in with 2 out, nobody on. Ball 1.
Joe, we talked about how Mike Messina is a east-west pitcher. Look at him hit the mitt of Posada for strike 3 against Piazza. He was on the far east coast with that pitch. Man.
Now goes to 2-0, and he has barely missed with the first 2 to Johnson.
We may have seen Mike Messina pitch his best game ever when he struck out 15 against the Cleveland Indians in the 1997 American League Championship Series, Game 3 in Cleveland.
15 strikeouts, 7 innings pitched. An LCS record, 2 shy of the postseason record. Set by, there's a strike over the inside corner. Gibson in 1968. With his 17 against Detroit. Come back to the present, Tim. Work this game. Don't think about that game. Stay with me.
I just fell into a little state of reverie.
I saw that, that look come over you.
The glazed expression.
The drool on your shirt sleeve. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Zeal will be next if Johnson can keep this top of the 6th inning alive for the Mets. This crowd looking for strikeout number 10. Full count. Pitch, inning over. Strikeout number 10. And Kevin Appier will head back to work against the bottom 3 in the Yankee lineup. Spencer, Brocious, Soriano coming up, no score.
Saturday Baseball, brought to you by the makers of Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot.
At Yankee Stadium, Kevin Appier heads back to work. The only blemish on his record, a 1-out walk back in the 2nd. That was erased as O'Neill followed the walk with a double play ball. 5 strikeouts, no hits, and Shane Spencer first up for the Yankees. And a strike on the outside corner.
Yankees have hit only 3 balls out of the infield today. Appier in total control.
On 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Guess you could say you're in total control with total control. I mean, he has been moving the ball in and out, breaking balls behind in the count. Charlie Huff, the pitching coach of the Mets, has to be very, very happy.
Here's a 1-1. Into left field. Forget about the no-hitter. A leadoff single by Spencer.
One of the few pitches that the Yankees have seen in the middle of the plate. You can see Pratt's glove was there, and the pitch is there. So Appier missing with that slider. And Shane Spencer taking advantage of it.
Appier, who has 2 one-hitters, can only hope for his 3rd. By the way, it's a 0-0 game here in the 6th inning. We'll see what the Yankees do with Brocious. They try to push Spencer down to 2nd.
I think they will.
He's going to bunt, and he takes a ball.
Joe Torre and Don Zimmer do this often. They'll put the bunt on the first pitch, bring the infield in, particularly with Relaford at 3rd base, inexperienced somewhat, and then put the hit and run on a 1-0 or 2-1 count. That way you always have the infield in a state of flux.
Teams with no-hitters all time in their franchise history. Mets have been around since 1962, and they still don't have one, including today. Apier gives up a leadoff hit to Spencer here in the 6th inning. Seaver came close twice to mend something that I said earlier. 32nd anniversary of the game at Shea Stadium. 4-0 win, a one-hitter for Tom Seaver, the near-perfect game. A one-out single to left field by Jimmy Qualls broke up that effort. Brocious drops down a bunt. It is perfect. Zeal's only play to first. Sacrifice good, 3-4, and the go-ahead run at second with only one out. Seaver went as far as 8 2/3 one day at Wrigley. When with 2 out, Joe Wallace had a base hit to avoid the no-hitter there.
That is a blueprint by Brocious. You can see the bat in fair territory, the ball in fair territory, and the sacrifice successful. That's one of the great descriptions I've ever heard of a baseball play. Catch the ball with the bat when you're bunting.
I think it says a lot for Soriano here that they bunt with Brocious to get the go-ahead run Spencer into scoring position for Soriano. Soriano, who homered last night, a free swinger, goes after that pitch, strike one. Not as free a swinger as he was earlier in the season. Still, he's not up there looking for a walk. The other scores brought to you by Lamisil. As you saw the scores shooting across the bottom of your screen and the promotion for Tuesday night's All-Star game in Seattle. Leadoff hit, good bunt, and an 0-1 pitch to Soriano. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alfonso fly to center his first time up. Soriano with runners in scoring position under 200 at 187 for the season. Two balls and a strike. You would think in this situation, if you're Apier, a veteran pitcher, against a young, free-swinging player like Soriano, who's up there trying to put the Yankees on top, you can exploit his strike zone.
Tease him, don't challenge him.
Right.
Yep.
Let's see what he gives him on 2-1. Breaking ball and a pop-up into shallow right center. Who wants it? Johnson, a long run, 2 out. And the go-ahead run still at second, 2 away for Knobloch.
You can see Todd Pratt. He is almost off the plate, and the pitch is off the plate. And Soriano hits it off the end of the bat. I got it, says Mark Johnson for the second out.
So now it's Knobloch. Chuck has only 28 RBI and an average of 252. Ball 1. Apier definitely stringing together back-to-back strong starts. He's been good over the past few weeks. Trying to keep his shutout going, to keep it a 0-0 game here in the 6th inning. He's 2-0 on Knobloch. The more dangerous hitter, Jeter on deck. And this has been the story for Apier, either real good or real bad, and gone real quick. His 5 wins, an ERA well under 2. Strikeouts way up, hits way down. When he is lost big. Now it's 3-0. Jeter, who's 10 out of his last 29, waits to hit next.
Knobloch is one of the guys that Joe Torre does not like to hit 3-0 with. Doubtful he'll be swinging here.
Now Knobloch, if they see something he likes, will take a rip. Try to get the Yankee fans on their feet. Spencer, the only hit of the day so far for the Yankees. Knobloch chased a bad ball for strike 2.
Uncharacteristic of Knobloch, whether he's going good or bad, that he would swing at a pitch like that when the count's in his favor. Gary Denbo, the hitting instructor on the left. Hate to have a check swing with the count 3-1. You can understand that 0-2, 1-2, but not 3-1.
Talk about a sure sign of a guy pressing.
Yeah.
Talked about the non-trade with Seattle. His own performance on the field with his on-base percentage, his average dropping since the first month of the season. And he put the Yankees on top. Continue the inning for Jeter. He does the latter. Ball 4, and that's the second walk of the day by Apier. And now he faces a much more difficult task in trying to get Jeter. .294 average, 41 RBIs. And the All-Star stands in with 2 on, 2 out. Most games between these two teams, whether it's been interleague play or World Series play, have been tight. Another entry on that long list. 0-0 in the 6th inning. 2 on, 2 out for Jeter. Into right center field. Payton going to get it. Inning over. And good work by Apier to get around the leadoff hit and the good bunt. Fox Sports, home of the 2001 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, returns to Yankee Stadium after a break from your local Fox station. Of the 6 years that Fox Sports has been a part of Major League Baseball, we've had 2 moments that stand way above the rest. The McGwire home run and this moment from the '99 All-Star Game with Ted Williams at home plate talking to the other players. You and I were up in the booth at Fenway Park that July day and seeing the all-time greats. But in a way, I think more impressive was the way the current stars showed their reverence for one of the game's greatest ever.
Remember, in remembering those moments, you know, the temptation to say something, you know, that's our business, to know when to lay out and when to talk. We could barely get our thoughts together when that happened on the field, and that is not an overstatement.
Pretty good pitch by Messina, called ball 1 to Jay Payton, who's 0 for 2.
And the thing about it was not scripted. I mean, nobody knew how the modern day players would react to Ted Williams coming to the middle of the field.
Nobody knew that he would tip his cap to the fans.
Finally.
As he made his way in, something he didn't do back as a player.
He kept waiting for it after that home run in 1960, and waiting and waiting and waiting.
2 balls, no strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Messina to Payton. Now it's 3-0. Those players gathered around him, and he asked the questions, talking to McGwire about what sort of smell there was when he fouled the pitch back. He ever smelled burnt wood? McGwire agreeing with him. And And guys who played in his time, even the guys who play now and get a chance to run across Ted Williams, you know that he has been battling some health problems. It is amazing how much he knew and knows about players then and now and their different characteristics and how they approach at bats and what they like to hit, how they take certain pitches. He is definitely a student of the game still. Todd Pratt now 1 on 1 out after the walk to Peyton. First walk of the day by Messina. That's nothing new. It's only his 21st walk of the entire season. Strike 1 on Pratt.
And if you're an announcer, he doesn't let up on us either. I remember getting out of a cab in 1993, the night before the All-Star game, and have him bellowing across the lot at the Harbor Court Hotel in Baltimore. So I heard you talking the other night. Pitch Bond's inside. Bananas. You ever seen him turn on an inside fastball? Come on. I said, Ted, don't take it so seriously. What are you talking about? He was great.
Well, if he sees you after today, he might talk to you about knowing where the shortstop plays if you're running out at second base. 1 on, 1 out. No balls, 1 strike on Pratt. No score in the 7th. Pratt out in front to Papa. Brocious. 2 out. 2 out. Now the number 9 hitter, who's 0 for 2, Ray Ordonez, walks to the plate. Ordonez is grounded out, reached on an error, and as we talked about at the time, could have gone as a hit or an error, a smash to the second baseman Soriano, who could not field it. So at least Ordonez has hit the ball hard here today against Messina. Not many can say that. And Shane Spencer can say that about Apier. The only Yankee hit. Bullpen's quiet here in the 7th inning. 2 out, a runner at first, and Ordonez. This would be a time to run if you felt so inclined. Ordonez up and after a pitch way out of the strike zone, and Tino Martinez puts it away. Ordonez likes the high pitch. And that pitch is up there, and he's the final out of the top of the 7th. Time to stretch. Part of the order for the Yankees, no score.
Fox Saturday Baseball, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Napa, we keep America running.
It is a beautiful day. U2 has already come and gone, but it still is a beautiful day here in New York. And Kevin Apier has had a wonderful day on the mound. 1 hit, 2 walks, only 1 runner stranded because of a double play. The Yankees have been flat out shut down. Williams, Martinez, Posada. Tough inning for Apier. No score, 7th inning, and a strike from the 33-year-old right-hander. For the Yankees is Jay Watasek. The right-hander gets loose. Throwing right-hander that picked up from San Diego. Messina has a season high of 120 pitches in any one game. He is at 119 right now. So they're paying attention to the clicker down in the dugout as Messina is getting close. 1 ball, 1 strike on Williams.
And Joe, it stands to reason that when a day game is played after a night game, the pitcher, in theory, has the edge, because the night before, while the players were playing, the pitcher was sleeping, particularly a starting pitcher.
2 balls and a strike on Williams.
It's certainly true today, isn't it?
Especially on a Friday night in New York. 2 balls and a strike. Williams, 15 home runs. One of the hottest hitters in the game right now. That didn't catch the strike zone, much to Apier's disappointment. The count 3-1.
Todd Pratt was sitting inside for that slider. This slider backs up and stays outside to Williams. It's a bad idea to pitch Bernie Williams inside when you're behind in the count. He could put the Yankees up with one swing of the bat.
Now watch out here on 3-1. Gunning for it. Apier had him out in front. The count full 3-2. How hot is Bernie Williams? Well, he's too darn hot. Last 40 games over 400 with his average, 12 of his 15 home runs. On-base percentage, slugging percentage is enormous. Big average in June, the best in the majors, and he has a full count leading off here in the 7th. Pratt cannot hang on as the foul tip keeps Williams alive.
Trying to come inside with that tailing fastball. Tying Bernie Williams up. It went off the webbing and on the right toe of Todd Pratt.
So a matching set for the Mets behind the plate.
Bookend big toes.
Pratt's either frustrated that he did not catch that pitch, a foul tip, which would have sent Williams back to the dugout, or still in some pain as that ball caught his toe. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And now Bernie Williams has reached base via a hit or a walk in 41 consecutive games.
The longest streak this year held by Edgar Martinez of the Seattle Mariners. All-Star designated hitter on Tuesday night. His was 43. No bunt here, however. Pretty obvious with Brocious last inning. Spencer on at first, but not here.
Especially with the way Tino Martinez has been swinging the bat after his tutorial from Don Mattingly. Off on a power tear, and he is nearly grazed by a pitch inside, ball 1.
Wow, that was close. Woo.
Tino Martinez has at least 1 RBI in 11 of his last 12 games. Today 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. A 1-0. Nicely played by Pratt. 2-0.
Pratt still limping around with that sore right foot. That's a fine play right there.
Williams a leadoff walk. The go-ahead run at first with nobody out in the 7th. And a dangerous pitch to Martinez. Might be. Zia, the second. To first. No throw as the throw hit Bernie Williams, and it's 1-on-1 out.
They're going to try to appeal interference right here. But Bernie Williams made a perfectly legitimate slide. We talked about it earlier. Bobby Valentine running out to second base umpire Dale Scott, who is the crew chief. I beg your pardon, Larry Young's the crew chief here. And Dale Scott's going to get some help. But Bernie Williams, it was a perfectly legitimate slide. And there is nothing that says, unless you go in standing up, nothing that says that if the ball hits you, watch Ordonez dropping down, Bernie Williams throwing that left arm up, but it wasn't intentional. Bobby Valentine, I think, is saying it is. It hit Bernie in the left wrist.
Just like a middle infielder who drops down
Sure.
to make a base runner slide.
Yep.
Here's Ordonez, who in this case has got to get his throw up and get it over Bernie Williams. He
That's
does
right. That's a very, very good point, Joe. Because when you're dropping down, watch Ordonez drop down to make Williams get down. Williams, inadvertently, it appeared to me, throws up the left arm because that's the movement of the left arm when a guy's going straight into a base. I mean, if you think a guy is intentionally trying to get hit by a thrown ball when you're 2 feet away, that's a tough argument. I think the second base umpire made the right call.
And the rest of the umpires backed him up on it.
Yep.
Bobby Valentine went to every line. It's a big play with Tino Martinez running. By the way, that could have injured Bernie Williams.
Sure.
But if Ordonez can't complain, if he's going to drop down to make a base runner get down and get out of his way, then he's got to be prepared if, while the runner's getting down, he's got to get the throw over him.
Right.
Jorge Posada takes ball 1 low. 1 on, 1 out. So instead of 2 out, nobody on. A missed opportunity on a potential double play ball. Ball wasn't crushed, so it might have still been hard to turn 2. But any chance was gone when Ordonez hit Williams with a throw. Posada pops it into left. There's the tough chance for McEwen, but he's there, 2 out. And the batter will be O'Neill. Total control so far for Kevin Apier. Trying to get through the heart of the Yankee lineup. And the 3 guys that we came on the air talking about, Williams, Martinez, and Posada, 3 big reasons why. The Yankees have won 12 of their last 14, 9 straight, and have a game-and-a-half lead in the AL East over Boston. Here is O'Neill, who has 12 home runs on the season. Ball 1. They do hold against Tino Martinez at first, but not much of a chance for Martinez to run. Can't play behind him, but Apier can focus on O'Neill with a count of 1 ball, no strikes.
Look at that.
2 balls, no strikes, and Pratt's going to go talk to Apier with Shane Spencer, who has the Yankees' only hit of the day on deck.
Bobby Valentine has his outfielders in a no-doubles defense with the thinking that if the Yankees are going to beat him or take the lead here in the 7th inning, they're going to have to do it with 2 hits instead of 1. That's the reason teams will play their outfield deeper than normally in a tie game or 1-run game in the late innings. Jay Payton very deep in center field, but properly.
2-0 is hit in the air to left, a base hit. And it's 2 on, 2 out. A walk and hit in the inning, only the 2nd Yankee hit. But with that, Shane Spencer will come to the plate with a chance to put the Yankees on top.
It's like a quarterback taking that 10 or 12-yard pass in front of a prevent defense. Paul O'Neill taking the single. Obviously, that's not the thinking there, but that's a broadcaster's rhyme right there. It sounded good.
He settled down into the hole of the zone defense.
Yes.
And gets a base hit into left center field for a 2 on, 2 out situation for Shane Spencer. And the Yankee fans want to see the first run of the day. Spencer 12 RBIs on the season. Tried to hold up, strike 1.
That's where everybody tries to pitch Shane Spencer. He is an inside hitter. You make a mistake to him inside, dangerous.
Now it's 0-2. Apier 5 strikeouts on the day. Brocious is on deck right now. It's up to Spencer to try to keep this inning alive. Got to wait for a mistake from Apier, who has not thrown many mistakes to the plate. And Shane just does stay alive. Mets looking for anything to latch on to feel good about a day's worth of baseball with a 37-50 record, last place in the NL East. And they are getting a terrific effort out of Kevin Apier today. And a win here against the Yankees, if they can pull that off, would at least make their Saturday night pleasant as they head out into the city. No balls, 2 strikes on Spencer. Apier has allowed only 2 hits, 3 walks.
Wants it up, way up.
And another foul.
Once Todd Pratt gave the signs, he motioned with his mitt up, up. Usually that means high. Apier may have, right there, that means keep it up. Apier may have shaken off location there. Ends up throwing a fastball on the corner.
One thing that could have happened, there was a meeting on the mound just before that. Pratt might have said, hey, let's deke him. I'll call for it up. He sees it, you give it to me down.
Yeah, because Apier called Pratt out there. If that's what indeed happened, then that categorize that in the area of thinking too much if you're a catcher or a pitcher.
1-2 on Spencer with 2 on, 2 out. Two and 2.
That's the one thing you don't want to give with a runner on at second base, and that's location. Todd Pratt giving the fastball after the sign and then slapping that left thigh. And sure enough, they came inside. Bobby Valentine wanted it, thinking for that at bat by Todd Zeal. Zeal's second at bat when he was called out on strikes. Valentine livid again.
Somebody's going to call time. It's Spencer. A 21-pitch inning, 92 on the day, so even with 21 here in the 7th, he has kept the total down. And Pratt out to talk again. Valentine has walked 4 miles down in that dugout today. Hoping Apier can get Spencer to end the inning. He can. Delayed strike 3 call, and now Spencer gets in the face of the home plate umpire. It has been a rough day for young Andy Fletcher behind the plate. He rings up Spencer, 6 strikeouts on the day, and you can see why the Yankees didn't like the call. No score after 7. Today on FX Saturday Baseball, Chipper Jones and the Braves take on Manny Ramirez and the Red Sox as both teams try to keep pace in their tight division races. Then Thursday, Manny and the Red Sox return to take on the Mets. That's at Shea. A Thursday night baseball interleague showdown on Fox Family Thursday. Watch the entire baseball season unfold across the Fox networks. Jay Watasik is the new pitcher for the Yankees, a 6-2 record overall. And Watasik, a hard-throwing right-hander the Yankees picked up from San Diego. Former Cardinal farmhand. He's been with the Royals. He has been with the Padres, and now he is here with the Yankees as they traded a pretty good infield prospect, D'Angelo Jimenez, to get him.
Only thing that curtailed D'Angelo's progress through the Yankee farm system, he would have been a player with the Yankees last year, but he broke his neck in the Dominican Republic a year and a half ago and was on the mend last year, but he is a fine-looking young hitter.
McEwing slices one foul down the right side. Messina, 7 innings, no runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. 119 pitches on the day.
Mike Messina had the poorest run support in the American League last year, only 3.71 runs per game, and he was 3rd coming into this game.
Breaking ball gets McEwing, and that's 11 times today the Mets have gone down on strikeouts. Good start for Watasic.
Longest hitters will continue to go after sliders, breaking balls off the plate. Continue to throw them.
Here's Desi Relaford, who's 1 out of 3. Relaford takes ball 1. Watasic, kind of a David Arquette in Scream look about him as he blows one past Relaford. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mariano Rivera sitting, watching, and resting out of the bullpen, and he's had a little more rest since the 2 acquisitions for the bullpen for the Yankees. Not only Watasic, but Mark Wohlers. Mike Stanton on your left will head to the All-Star game, as deserving as any middle reliever or setup reliever in the game. 2-2. And as valuable a Yankee as there is on this team. You bet, in many ways.
Said it a couple of weeks ago, in my view, prior to his All-Star selection, and it will be his first All-Star game on Tuesday night, Mike Stanton was the most underrated reliever in the game. And even with that selection, he may still be.
Now people try to pick apart his season and say why he doesn't deserve to go. Mike Stanton will join Paul Quantrill. Middle relievers, setup relievers. Quantrill 7-2 with an ERA of 2.2. ERA for Stanton, outstanding, a ton of work. Oh, the home plate umpire might have pulled a back muscle, flinching on that. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Andy Fletcher has had an adventurous day. Watch his body language. Whoa! When they raise up like that, they're fixing to punch you out.
3-2 pitch is popped up. And out of play. Do you see any David Arquette Scream with Watasic, especially with the stash he's got growing now?
A little bit. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I do. A little bit.
One out, nobody on, 3 balls, 2 strikes. And a 1-out walk. One on, 1 out for the 3 and 4 hitters. That means Alfonso and Piazza. Bad boy fell asleep for a moment, so Alfonso takes his time getting into the batter's box. And Edgardo looking down at John Stearns, the third base coach, to see if the Mets put a play on here with a runner at first. Decent speed with Relaford and 1 out.
Not a bad idea to put Relaford in motion, particularly now with the count in Alfonso's favor.
One ball, no strikes. What did those signs say to you? Hit and run?
Well, I don't know for sure, but it's a good time to do it right now.
The Yankees thinking along those lines, and a check on Relaford over at first.
Well, if you have first and third, and that's the primary reason for the hit and run, first and third, and Piazza's batting, and first base isn't open, but second is.
Runner going. Alfonso takes the pitch, and Relaford steals the base, and he's there with one out. Desi's 8th of the year.
We don't know whether Alfonso missed the hit and run or if this was a straight steal, but Relaford with an excellent jump. Piazza or Posada upset, and now not a thought of pitching around to Alfonso. Cossack will try to get him because he does not want to see Piazza up there with 2 on.
Here's a 2-0. 2-1. Anytime you have an injured back, and I don't care what you do for a living, it's always in the back of your mind. And for Alfonso, who's playing in his first week off the injured back, where they really didn't know exactly what was wrong with him, he is back in the lineup, and you wonder if he is convinced that he is totally healthy.
Or feeling for the ball.
Runner stealing third, got a terrific jump, but Alfonso fouled it away, and the count 2-2.
1 out, a good time to do it. Relaford stepping into the line. Great jump, but Alfonso fouls it back.
Edgardo only 1 out of 15 since coming off the disabled list.
You can tell by his swings, he looks like he's feeling for the ball. It's not that free and easy cutting the bat loose.
On 2-2. Alfonso flies one into right center. O'Neill back to get it. 2 out. Tagging going to third is Relaford, and he'll be there for Piazza.
Alfonso gives it a ride, but it's not deep enough. And now with Piazza up there, you got to walk it. Even though the left-handed Mark Johnson's on deck.
And that is the decision by the Yankees.
Pretty clear right here. No way can Mike Piazza beat you with all the other Mets either injured, particularly Robin Ventura. And it will be up to Mark Johnson.
There's also the chance, and I'm not saying it's going to happen here, and I'm not saying it should happen here, but in an American League city with a designated hitter, you're trying to find a spot to use one of the best pinch hitters in the history of this game, Lenny Harris. Now wouldn't be a bad time to use him. I'm not saying lift Johnson for Harris, but it's definitely got to be at least a consideration for a guy who's number 3 on the all-time pinch hit list, but not even a thought, evidently, as Harris is just hanging out watching the game, and it's up to Mark Johnson, who today is 1 out of 3 with 2 strikeouts.
And Lenny kind of peeking down and seeing if Bobby Valentine is going to make a call, but nope, it'll be up to Johnson. It's certainly not a bad consideration.
So it's Johnson with a chance to put the Mets on top. Another reason why you might want to keep him on the bench, however, is Ordonez lurking down at the bottom of the lineup. Say that because if he comes up with a chance to win it with a hit, there's no doubt he'll be lifted for the pinch hitter.
And Bobby probably going under the theory that, hey, if you can start him, he can hit in a clutch situation, as this certainly is.
1 ball, no strikes, first and third, 2 out. No score in the 8th. One and 1. Two walks in the inning has produced this situation. First and third, Watasic trying to get Johnson to end the top of the 8th. 1-2.
Backdoor breaking ball freezes Johnson. Remember, Johnson, a very good low ball hitter. Makes him vulnerable to the inside fastball.
Watasic trying to keep it scoreless. Johnson 2-2, and Watasic can get it up there in a hurry. The opposite way, Spencer going to it. And we're still scoreless. An unintentional walk, a stolen base. An intentional walk to Piazza, and Johnson could not make the Yankees pay for it.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Mounds and Almond Joy. 5-minute vacation by Lotrimin AF. Get the cure that's proven to kill athlete's foot on the whole foot. Lotrimin AF, the killer cure. By your neighborhood 7-Eleven store. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. And by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
The great views from above you're seeing of today's action are being brought to us today by Monster.com's East Coast Blimp, Trump. Monster.com. Job good, life good. Defensive change for the Mets as Timo Perez comes in the game. He's in right field. Mark Johnson will leave frustrated. He had a chance to put the Mets on top and fly it out to left against Watasic. And we're still scoreless. Bottom of the 8th. Brocious, Soriano, and Knobloch for the Yankees against Apier. What a day for Kevin Apier. Ball 1. Any sign of a rally? Look at the starters for the afternoon. Great work by both Messina and Apier. Any sign of start of a rally, and Rivera will start loosening for the Yankees. That might fall in. Shallow center. That is caught. Dropped. Brocious to second. The throw. Got it. One away.
Couldn't. That is a terrific play by Timo Perez, shadowing the play, and watch how quickly he gets to the ball when the ball tumbles out of Payton's glove. Barehanding it. That was Edgardo Alfonso, I beg your pardon, not Perez, the right fielder. That could have gone either way, just like the call at second base that the Mets had earlier on the stolen base attempt by McEwing. Terrific heads-up play by Edgardo Alfonso.
So a base hit, the put out 4-6. We showed the throw by Alfonso, the second baseman. And now with 1 out, nobody on, here's Soriano, who's 0 for 2. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Scott Brocious running hard right from the get-go and giving himself a chance to take the extra base.
One ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. 2-1. The effort by Payton. Coming up with it, and then as he twirled around, having it fall out of his glove, you could see Brocious hesitate. It's impossible, I would imagine, you've been out there, not to watch the play as you're running the bases to see if it's a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to watch the play to determine whether you can take the chance to take the extra base.
So the effort by Payton, like it slowed Brocious just enough to get the out at second, and Soriano has a 2-2 count.
Yeah, once you make your turn at first base, you have to slow down and have control speed and not full out speed to determine whether you should continue to second base. It's understandable.
Soriano now with 1 out. Saw John Franco getting loose for the Mets. 2 out. Soriano strikes out for the first time today, and that's 7 strikeouts for Apier.
We're going to try to show you the hesitation Joe referred to. Grosh's looking at the ball, and right here decides to turn it on. But if you're going too fast and not in control speed, then you're halfway, and then if you try to get back to first base, a center fielder or a second baseman can pick up the ball and throw behind you.
Here's Knobloch with the bases empty, 2 out. And a strike floats in from Apier. Knobloch 0 for 2 with a walk.
The degree of turn around first base, the turn you make around first base, depends, everything goes from left field on. If it's in left field, you can go halfway. If it's in center field, less so. And in right field, your turn has to be short because the right fielder could throw behind you.
Knobloch off the end of the bat. Payton won't get to that. A 2-out single. And now Jeter.
Right off the end of the bat. Little flare for Knobloch. I just found out today that Knobloch in German is pronounced Knoblauch, and it stands for garlic. Can you imagine Larry King going on German radio? Larry King for Knoblauch. You can't you?
For some reason, I can. Hello, Frankfurt. Well, here's a spot to run. You've got Knobloch at first with 26 steals. Jeter at the plate, and Pratt behind the plate, who's thrown out only 1 out of 12 potential base stealers.
The more behind in the count Apier runs to Jeter, the more likely Knobloch is to take off.
Not going as Jeter shoots it foul. You've got Jeter up. The switch hitter Bernie Williams on deck. Franco in the bullpen. This could very well be Apier's last batter one way or the other. Go ahead run at first with 2 out here in the 8th inning of a scoreless game. Again, Pratt, 1 out of 12 in the stolen base department. Piazza, 16 out of 88. As a team, the Mets have thrown out only 17% of potential base steals. Oh, a strike called on the inside part to Jeter, and that makes a big difference in the running situation. Instead of 2-1, it's 1-2.
Usually a catcher will not get a strike like that for a pitcher when he has to cross the plate. Andy Fletcher has shown to have, or been shown to have, a wide strike zone today. Knobloch's got to run right now, doesn't he?
We'll keep an eye on him at first with 2 out, and he was leaning. He was leaning, and Apier threw over. Knobloch able to get back.
You could see that little nudge with the right leg. Knobloch probably was going. The throw over to first base. Almost has to run in this situation.
And because of that, a pitch out. That evens the count, and the Mets may have pitched out into even more of a running situation. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 2 out. Go ahead, run it first right now. with a 2-2 count. Another throw over. Now blocked, 26 steals. Another sign he may be running here. Rivera is starting to loosen in the bullpen. Two-two pitch. He's going. Jeter strikes out and the inning's over. Great work by Kevin Appier. And this game, the Mets and Yankees, scoreless through 8. Ninth inning with Zeal, Payton, and Pratt coming up. In just 3 days, the 72nd All-Star Game, Tuesday night from Seattle. Matchup of the best the American League has to offer against the best from the National League. Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific here on Fox. Todd Zeal leads it off. Ball 1 from Watasic. No score in the 9th inning. Zeal, Payton, and Pratt. 1-1 from Watasic, who at one point in his younger days was traded for his pitching coach, Mel Stottlemyre's son Todd. The deal between the A's and the Cardinals. Breaking ball has Zeal bailing, and it's 1-2.
That is a nasty breaking ball right there. When you think about the first 8 innings of this ball game, you can't think of too many balls that have been hit hard, primarily because of pitches like that. Sliders on the black.
Well, he made Zeal look bad.
Oh.
Second strikeout for Watasic.
For a pitcher, nasty is good. This pitch from Watasic is good.
Here's Payton now 0 for 2 with a walk. Jay is flying to center, struck out, walked. That was his last time up. The Mets, by the way, are 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position today. 94-mile-an-hour fastball, ball 1. And the one hit didn't produce a run, obviously, as it was Piazza running, and a hit up the middle by Zeal after a leadoff double did not produce the run. Payton had the chance with first and third, 1 out, but he flied into shallow center. That was way back in the 2nd. So more of the same for the Mets. Payton hitting .265. On the corner, 2-1. Yankees in the bottom of the 9th. Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, Jorge Posada, the 3, 4, 5 hitters, and as Mike Shannon would say, old Abner has done it again. Heart of the order in the bottom of the 9th for the scoreless game. Into right, O'Neill, 2 out.
Mike Shannon, longtime voice with your dad, St. Louis Cardinals, for 32 years. Oh, goodness. And talking about Abner, the great uncle of Nelson Doubleday, who is now the part owner of the New York Mets, but that may not be the case in another month or 2. He may sell his share to Fred Wilpon. Not official yet, but certainly more than a rumor here in New York.
No time, really, has that been denied by Doubleday. Franco still loosening. Stanton has been loosening for the Yankees, but Watasic's doing just fine as he's 0-2 on Pratt.
This is the best Jay Watasic has thrown for the Yankees since arriving in New York 2.5 weeks ago by far.
A scoreless 8. 2/3 of the way through a scoreless 9th. 1-2. Two and 2. Ordonez next. Time for the bottom of the 9th inning. 3 hours after we started. Heart of the order. Williams, Martinez, Posada for the Yankees with no score. nothing, favoring nobody. Bottom of the 9th inning, and John Franco, the second pitcher of the day for the Mets. What a terrific effort today by Kevin Appier. John Franco will try to send this game into the 10th.
Last Sunday night in Atlanta, Kevin Appier pitched 8 shutout innings against the Atlanta Braves. He won that game, was credited with the win, his 5th of the year. And today, he shuts out the Yankees for the first 8 innings. He's out of there, and the heart of the Yankee order coming up.
Franco will deal with Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Jorge Posada, 2 switch hitters in there. Both switch hitters are stronger power-wise from the left side. Franco sometimes struggles against the left-handed batter.
Because it takes that changeup, his best pitch, away from him. That was it there. And it's rarely a strike. Rarely.
Yankees wondering if they can string 10 wins together. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 balls, no strikes.
Bernie Williams has been known to take in situations like this when he should be hitting. Franco will challenge hitters. He'll throw the fastball right down the pipe to anybody.
Two and one.
That was a changeup right there. But again, falling out of the strike zone.
Yankees on their longest winning streak since August of '98. An incredible year with 125 total wins through the World Series. Here's a 2-1 delivery. And it's 2-2.
Franco following the changeup with a 2-1 fastball right there. When you're looking for that changeup and you get an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, it looks like it's 188 miles an hour.
So it was 2-0, now it's 2-2. Williams is gone, and a good start for Franco here in the 9th inning. Franco heavily courted by the Phillies during the offseason. Reportedly turned down bigger money to come back to Shea Stadium. Phillies in first place. The Mets 13 games behind Philadelphia.
If somebody's barking from the Yankee dugout. Franco with that smile and shrug. Hey, pal, I've been in this position a lot of times.
Trying to position the defense is Mookie Wilson. As ball 1 misses, low and away to Tino Martinez. Trying to get the left fielder, Joe McEwing, to move over toward left center. See if Franco can get the left-handed batter. Martinez has hit some big home runs lately for the Yankees as he takes ball 2-0.
The one thing, here at Yankee Stadium, this might be the first time I've ever disagreed with Mookie Wilson, but I don't agree. I think what you have to do as a left fielder with a left-handed batter up is play closer to the line, because if you hit a ball to left center, it's going to tail back into position.
Here's a 2-0. Right down the middle, 2-1. Mets fans hoping they get a chance to walk out of this stadium with their chests puffed out, proud of what their Mets did on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of a frustrating season. And if that is to happen, it's going to take extra innings here today. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Tino Martinez with Jorge Posada on deck. If this game goes to the 10th, It'll be Ordonez, McEwing, and Relaford. Anybody gets on Alfonso for the Mets in the next half inning. Martinez with 17 home runs. And a 3-ball, 2-strike count. Here it is with 1 out. Tino Martinez pops it up into right, and that'll jump out of play. Going up to try to get one and drive it out of the park. It's still a full count.
I think that's exactly what he was trying to do. Anything inside, I'm going to hop on, even though it was out of the strike zone, and try to end this baby. Fouls it off.
Again, the 3-2 pitch to Tino Martinez. Pop foul back and out of play. Well, if last night was a subdued night for crowd reactions, especially after a 3-0 first inning lead and an 8-3 Yankee win, the 9th win for the Yankees in a row, another loss for the Mets, today has been back to normal in this series. Tight game, exciting, well played. As Martinez hits it in the air to left, McEwing puts it away, 2 down.
In fairness to Mookie Wilson, Mookie moved McEwing toward left center field. Joe would have made the catch anyway where he was playing because the ball's going to tail back to him. But Tino Martinez hitting that ball just about where Mookie Wilson had moved Joe McEwing. Outfield defensive positioning is so important, and the reason it's important is they have more ground to cover.
Here is Posada. Last chance for the Yankees in regulation. A strike on the outside corner.
An infielder can be a step or two out of position, and if a ball gets by him, it's a single. If an outfielder's a step or two out of position, more than likely it'll be an extra base hit.
Here's an 0-1. On deck, another left-hander, Paul O'Neill. Posada has hit only 2 of his 13 home runs batting right-handed.
John Franco would rather bite the head off a rattlesnake than throw Posada a fastball to hit here. Two out, nobody on, 1-1. Posada out in front, 1-2. Jorge's going to see that pitch again.
Well, you talk about how effective he can be against right-handed batters.
Oh.
Turning it over, running it down and away. 2 out, bases empty, a ball and 2 strikes on Posada. Same pitch. Jorge laid off. It's 2-2. Nothing in the 9th. 2 out, nobody on. Posada takes ball 3. After chasing one of those pitches, he's laid off 2 in a row.
And in all probability, he'll get the same pitch again. Looks like Rivera is going to be the pitcher in the top of the 10th inning. if it goes that far.
Just low, a 2-out walk, and John Franco is screaming at the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher.
Here comes Bobby Valentine. Remember, a manager cannot argue a ball or a strike. Todd Pratt taking up for Franco. Bobby's saying to John that the game's more important. And Bobby's going to take the flack. If anybody gets run from this game, it's going to be Bobby Valentine, not John Franco.
Valentine will likely wait out on the mound until the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher, pays a visit. That's what's going to happen, and then we'll have another argument.
And that way, he won't be accused of arguing a ball and a strike. And here comes Andy. Nope. Bobby left. Now the glare.
You give Valentine a little credit there.
Yeah.
For not waiting, and I'll give Fletcher credit on the call. That pitch was low.
Yeah.
But the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher, delayed and then started to make that walk he didn't want to make, and Bobby Valentine at that instant turned and headed back to the dugout. Now it's Paul O'Neill with the potential winning run at first and 2 out. A scoreless game in the 9th inning. That's low, and Franco is really hot. His reaction after that pitch, he's looking in the dugout. And this is very, very unlike John Franco.
Well, you know, Joe, in fairness, again, Franco rarely throws that pitch for a strike. So John can't expect that pitch to be called a strike when he doesn't throw it for a strike. That's not the design of the pitch.
1 ball, no strikes. Runner at first, 2 out. 1-1.
John throws fastballs for strikes and the changeup out of the strike zone low. Umpires are like hitters. They know what pitchers throw. And they're more inclined to call that changeup low. And then that 3-2 pitch was certainly low to walk Posada.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 on, 2 out. O'Neill. 1 out of 3 on the day. Alfonso. This game's going to the 10th. John Franco does a nice job through the heart of the order, talking to himself as he exits the field. 10th inning at Yankee Stadium. Still no score. Well, now it's a 10th inning, and the team has been able to score a run. John Franco has been barking at the home plate umpire during most of the break as John Franco was asking the home plate umpire where the pitch was that walked Jorge Posada. And in Andy Fletcher's defense, to all of us, it did look low. Third-year umpire Andy Fletcher has, if nothing else, been patient, and he has been tested here today.
He really has, as Mariano Rivera is in there. As a matter of fact, John Franco giving that with his left hand, giving that low sign around the knees for gesturing like that. Some umpires would run a player or showing them up. If he were a more experienced umpire, you mentioned Fletcher in his 3rd year, I think John would have been gone. Rivera, as you might expect, marvelous numbers. There's John Franco. More time saying, that was low. 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 Yeah, low.
It was low.
It was low, John.
Here's Ray Ordonez. Here's Mariano Rivera. And there's a fastball poured over the inside part for ball 1. Ordonez 0 for 3. Grounded out, reached on an error, and fouled out. The 1-0 to the left side, and easy for Brocious. 1-1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Have you ever seen the word disseminated any place else other than that
No.
disclaimer? Nor have I.
I assume that the word exists. Ball inside to Joe McEwing. McEwing is 1 hit, 4 at-bats, 3 strikeouts surrounding the 1 hit. That's off the hands, 1-1. 3 days till the All-Star game. Tuesday night in Seattle. Armando Benitez, Turk Wendell, 2 right-handers getting loose for the Mets in their bullpen. I'll tell you that Franco is likely finished. That's out of play off the bat of McEwing, 1-2. Is it fair to say that Mariano Rivera predominantly throws 1 pitch?
Yeah. The one little twist that Mariano has added this year is an intentional inside slider to a right-handed batter. You'll see Posada occasionally give the slider sign or the cut fastball sign and set up inside. Here it comes right here. That was it.
And a jam shot foul down the first baseline.
Most cutters from a right-handed pitcher go away from a right-handed batter. But because of that, to prevent them from going outside, Posada sets up inside, and Rivera starts it more on the inside, off the inside part of the plate. So it actually jams the right-handed batter. That's been his little twist to his stuff this year. But for the most part, it's the same speed.
1-2 on McEwing with Relaford on deck. Chasing it. And heading back to the dugout with his 4th strikeout of the day is Joe McEwing.
Mariano Rivera weighs 170 pounds and huffs and puffs very little. You'd be surprised at how loosely Rivera holds his pitches. And generally speaking, the looser you hold the ball, the harder you throw it.
Here's Relaford. Desi, 1 out of 3. Hit a dramatic home run a couple of Saturdays ago against the Atlanta Braves to tie the game in the 9th inning, a game the Mets eventually lost by a final of 9-3. And on the year, Relaford has hit 4 home runs. 0-1 the count with 2 out, nobody on. Relaford shoots one the other way, and the top of the 10th inning continues. Good work by Relaford, because now it brings up Alfonso with the protection of Mike Piazza hitting behind him on deck.
It says Mariano Rivera has come into the American League. Most of the hits that are gotten off of Mariano, they may not break the bat, but they're off the fat part of the bat. And if Relaford ran the last time he was on first, he is certainly going sometime in the first 3 or 4 pitches.
Alfonso at the plate, 0 for 4, 1 out of 16. He's coming off the disabled list on Tuesday. That was a disappointing series for the Mets at home against the Cubs. The Cubs taking 2 of 3. Cubs winning again last night. The Cubs bringing a 4-game lead into today's action over Houston. The Astros are getting hot. Good young pitching for Houston. 1 on, 2 out. Alfonso takes a ball.
The last time the Cubs won the World Championship was 9 years before the Bolshevik Revolution.
Halley's Comet has passed by Earth twice. We've gone through this.
Well, I thought I'd throw the revolution thing in there since it's about the only thing we haven't prepared it with.
Here's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You see that little line right there? That is what they have across the from the ballpark in Chicago across the street. AC 12. That means 12 years ago, the last time they were in postseason play. 56 years ago, before they had a World Series appearance, or since they had one. And 93 years ago was their last World's Championship.
2 balls and a strike. Piazza waits on deck. Edgardo Alfonzo, 9 home runs on the year. The count in his favor, 2-1. We'll see if Relaford takes off. He's going. The pitch is a strike. The throw to second, too late. And Desi just able to keep his foot on the bag. Now a hit could give the Mets the lead as Relaford steals his second base of the day.
If Rivera is tough to hit, he's tough to catch, too. And Posada, even though Rivera throws the ball hard and gets it to a catcher, he throws high strikes. But it's tough to center his ball, whether you're hitting it or catching it. And if it's tough to center, it's tough to throw. Relaford easily in there with the stolen base.
Now a hit could put the Mets on top. The 2-2 pitch to Alfonzo. Still 2-2, and you can see by the way he's walking.
Yep.
He is not 100% healthy.
Feeling for the ball in the strike zone. And that's usually a sign that a hitter is in pain. And understandably, Edgardo with that bad lower back.
It's a bad guy to face with a bad back. Down on a knee, 2 balls, 2 strikes. That back is bothering him. Alfonzo with a go-ahead run at second base and 2 out in a scoreless game, 10th inning. Full count with Piazza waiting on deck. Relaford at second with 2 out, and it's up to Piazza. A hit, a stolen base, a walk. Franco wondering if he might be in line for a win. That would be the case if Piazza comes through here in the 10th inning. A double in his first at bat. He homered here last night. This is his second game back from the broken left big toe he suffered a week ago Friday in Atlanta. Same matchup. The final out of the 2000 World Series. Didn't get it all. Williams hauled it in center, and the Yankees had won their 3rd straight World Championship.
Talk about great theater. They're doing things they don't do on Broadway here at Yankee Stadium.
And now Jeter comes in to talk to Rivera. Piazza. A double, an intentional walk, 2 strikeouts. Now facing Rivera with 2 on, 2 out in a scoreless game. Taking a strike. During the regular season in his career against Rivera, Piazza's 0 for 2, and Mel Stottlemyre will come out and talk to Rivera with 2 on, 2 out, and I'll ask you what this conversation could be about.
I was going to say, Joe, it's very odd. Mel Stottlemyre motioning to both Soriano and Jeter. And I think what Mel is telling them, let him run. If he wants to run, we have a place for Piazza. And now Andy Fletcher's making a quick trip to the mound. And Mel Stottlemyre, by bringing the middle infielders in, you're saying, forget about the runner at second base. Play straight up in your position. If Relaford wants to take third base with Piazza hitting, and Alfonso wants to steal second, we have a place for Piazza. Sound reasoning.
2 on, 2 out. 1 ball, 1 strike. This season compared to his career, the average with runners in scoring position.
Both middle infielders are spread with Relaford at second base.
Piazza with a base hit into right field. The Mets will take the lead. Mike Piazza, bad toe and all, delivers in the 10th.
Piazza doubling to right center his first time up, and watch how he fights off this inside fastball. Joe, we talked about it with the first right-hander of the inning. That was Ordonez. By design, that inside cutter, and John Franco with every reason to stand up and cheer.
Perez tries to fight one off the other way and add another broken bat to the pile outside Yankee Stadium. First at bat for Timo since taking over in the 8th inning, defensively out in right for Mark Johnson.
Talked about Mike Piazza at the beginning of the game. Now he has stated publicly that he is going to make every effort to get to the All-Star game. You talk about the consummate gamer in this game, and that's that guy you're looking at right there, number 31.
This guy trying to add to the 1-0 Mets lead. First and third, 2 out. Perez takes ball 1. Wendell can sit down in the Mets bullpen now. Benitez will focus on getting ready for the bottom of the 10th. What will the lead be? Perez gets a base hit. 2-0 Mets.
First time the Mets have had to smile in a few days. They lost the last game of the Cubs series that you talked about, Joe, 12-4. They lose a tough game last night, and something finally to celebrate.
Finally, 2 hits for the Mets with runners in scoring position. Now Zeal takes a strike on the outside corner. Both hitters not trying to do too much, going the opposite way. First Piazza to right, and then the left-hander, Perez in the left. 3 hits, a walk, all of this with 2 out as Zeal gets a base hit up the middle. They're going to bring Piazza to the plate. Bernie Williams with a throw back into second. It's 3-0 Mets.
That they're doing it off Rivera. Considered in past years as invincible as Zeal rifles one to the right of Soriano.
Piazza has shown on a couple of occasions today that he's not running poorly at all.
No.
I mean, for him, that's without a limp and getting around the bases pretty well. First and third, 2 out, and Peyton checked his swing, ball 1.
And I questioned Mike, thinking that he could catch tomorrow night, but after seeing him run this afternoon, I think it's a distinct possibility that catching tomorrow night and ultimately the All-Star game on Tuesday, a distinct possibility.
That seems to be Piazza's barometer as to whether he's going to head to Seattle. Peyton up the middle. Rivera stabs it, and a long top of the 10th inning is history. What a game. What a feeling for the Mets. And who started it? At least for the RBIs, Piazza. Back after this from your local Fox station. Well, who would have thought out of a group of pitchers, Messina, Apier, Franco, Watasic, and Rivera, that Rivera would be the one to struggle here today. Mariano took over in the 10th inning, and without a doubt, the feat of the day brought to you by Lotrimin as Armando Benitez takes over. Now it's the Mets closer's turn, and the feat of the day looks like this. A base hit the opposite way by Piazza against Rivera for the first run. 2 more hits followed. The rally entirely accomplished with 2 out. A hit by Relaford, a walk to Alfonso, a hit by Piazza, a hit by Perez, a hit by Zeal. And after struggling for the last 8 games with runners in scoring position, the 10th inning was kind to the Mets as they came through against one of the best relievers, one of the best pitchers in the game today. Shane Spencer first up, 1 ball, 1 strike. And now 1 and 2 as Benitez tries to do what Rivera couldn't do, and that is pitch a scoreless 10th.
Also, Joe, that stolen base unsettled things for Mariano Rivera. The 2-out base hit by Relaford, and then the stolen base. Now things became dangerous for the Yankees. Now you take care in pitching to Alfonso, and Piazza delivers.
It was a walk to Alfonso that brought Piazza to the plate. The Mets, on a couple of pitches before the hit, Tim, and you pointed it out, had the chance to take second and third if they started the runners.
Right.
But that leaves first base open. They stayed put. They left it up to their big guy, and Piazza delivered. Now Spencer flies one into center, and Peyton goes to get it, 1 away. 1 out here in the 10th inning. Bottom half for the Yankees. Well, Rivera, who has been automatic for years here, and you can go back to '96 when the question was whether Rivera as a setup or middle reliever should have been added to the All-Star roster. Springs a leak in the 10th inning today. Brocious with 1 out. To the left side for Relaford. A big part of the day for the Mets. Takes care of Brocious, 2 out. And the Yankees down to their final out here in the 10th inning. Soriano now walks to the plate. Bobby Valentine could have easily have made the case for Benitez to go to the All-Star game. He said he knows he's my All-Star, but he felt others deserve to go. A guy who has a legitimate beef is Rob Nen of San Francisco, who's not a part of the team.
Might be the best reliever in the National League.
Benitez misses high with ball 1. Soriano 0 for 3 on the day. Just outstanding pitching by the Mets. Apier, Franco, Benitez. 1-1. The producer of today's game is Jeff Gowen, the director Bill Webb, the associate director Aaron Stoikov, the broadcast associate Eric Billigmeyer, Steve Horn here in the booth. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Soriano flies it to right. Perez over to get it. And that'll do it. A win for the Mets. Only their 38th win of the year, but this one feels better than the first 37.
It's because it was against the world champion New York Yankees. A little payback time at Yankee Stadium for the Mets today.
They came from behind with a big 8th inning a couple of Sundays ago at Shea, but it has to feel even better to do it today in Yankee Stadium against one of the best in the business, Mariano Rivera. That'll do it for us from Yankee Stadium. When we next talk to you, it'll be on Tuesday night from Seattle. The 72nd All-Star Game. We hope you join us then. For more information on today's game and for the latest information on Major League Baseball, go to foxsports.com. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck. So long from New York. Right now, Jeannie Zelasco and Kevin Kennedy in the Fox Television Center. From all of us at Yankee Stadium until Tuesday night from Seattle, so long.
Yes, Joe, you are right. Just about everybody who is anybody in the world of Major League Baseball will be in Seattle Tuesday night, scheduled to appear for the final time. Cal Ripken, Tony Gwynn, their son sets, but from the land of the rising sun, the rising star, Ichiro getting to start in his home ballpark. It will indeed be a classic. Hi, everyone. Jeannie Zelasco along with Kevin Kennedy, the Fox Network Center. Cooperstown on display.
Yeah, Cal Ripken Jr. in his final year at the All-Star Game, and he told me the other day, he said, I'm so appreciative of the fans voting me in again. That really means a lot to me. It means I've done something good in the opposing ballparks that I've played in, not just in Baltimore. And for Tony Gwynn, he's got to be there. I don't care if he's only played in about 20 games or not. He must be there. One of the best line drive hitters in baseball. It's going to be fun to watch. Every young player should follow Tony Gwynn if they want to learn how to hit.
And from the past to the future, Ichiro in his home ballpark.
Well, here's another guy that can hit. A 7-time batting champ in Japan. He's going to lead the Seattle Mariners of the six guys will be in that All-Star game in Safeco Field from the Mariner Ball Club. And Ichiro's going to lead off that ball game, and he's trying to lead the American League in hitting just like he did in Japan.
You know, we didn't even get to this. Roger Clemens, Mike Piazza, potential there.
Coming
this
back.
Should be a classic. Yes, A-Rod. Oh, yeah, Randy Johnson.
I forgot about him.
Forget about Randy Johnson. Everybody's coming to Seattle. It will be a classic, the Midsummer Classic on Fox, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We will be there. We sure hope you join us.